Chapter 3084. He looked at Yi Tian again. He glanced at the void that was covered in lightning and turned to open an altar. Yes. He also thought that Qin Feiyang was dead for sure. He didn't want to see the result and was ready to leave. This wasn't contempt, but confidence. He was confident that the second profound could kill Qin Feiyang. Boom! However, when the altar was opened, a terrifying aura suddenly erupted from the void that was covered in lightning. Yi Tian turned around and looked at the void suspiciously. Zhuo Tiansheng and the other two were shocked. Could it be that he didn't die? Immediately, he stared fixedly at the void. The eyes of the others were also filled with bewilderment. You don't even want to see the result. How confident are you? Qin Feiyang's voice came from the lightning. He really didn't die. Zhuo Tiansheng and the other two looked at each other. This kid wasn't as simple as they thought. At the same time, Yi Tian furrowed his brows without a trace. Boom! The aura became stronger and stronger, and the lightning that shrouded the void began to be annihilated. Suddenly, purple divine thunder roared out from the thunderbolts, exuding a destructive power. This is, Yi Tian's pupils contracted. This aura seems to be the law of lightning, Zhuo Tiansheng couldn't help but exclaim. What? The law of lightning? He mastered the law of lightning? Everyone looked at the purple divine lightning in disbelief. This person that they had always despised actually mastered the law of lightning? Crack! The purple divine lightning became more and more terrifying. It was as if a heavenly tribulation had descended, shattering everything. Boom! The next moment, accompanied by an earth-shattering sound, the lightning formed by the fire lightning was instantly annihilated. Qin Feiyang immediately appeared in front of everyone. At this moment, purple divine lightning roared around him. He was holding a purple hammer in his hand. Lightning surrounded it, exuding a destructive aura. At this moment, he was like the god of lightning. The law of lightning shook the heavens. It really is the law of lightning. The city lord murmured. He suddenly glanced at the hammer in Qin Feiyang's hand and exclaimed, "This is the second profound of the law of lightning, the hammer of lightning." The second profound? How is this possible? Not only has he grasped the power of law, but he has also comprehended the second profound? Everyone's eyes widened in anger and disbelief. Was this his true strength? The law of lightning, the second profound. Yi Tian looked at Qin Feiyang and the Mjolnir with surprise in his eyes. He shook his head and said, "You really hid your strength well. There's no other way. I didn't want to reveal too much of my strength, but your strength has somewhat exceeded my expectations." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Should I be happy or angry to hear that? Because you're obviously looking down on me. Yi Tian frowned. Qin Feiyang didn't answer. Holding the Thunder God's hammer, he took a step forward. The Thunder God's hammer was the second profound divine ability of the law of thunder. Its power was equivalent to a mid-grade heaven-defying divine technique. As the hammer fell, the void around Yi Tian immediately collapsed. But at the same time, Yi Tian waved his hand and another law of law appeared. However, it wasn't the law of fire, but another law of earth that he had grasped. Clang! As the law of earth appeared, a hammer the size of a human face appeared in his hand. The hammer was usually yellow in color and shone with divine light. This is the second profound of the law of earth, the hammer of earth. He really has grasped two kinds of law of thunder. No wonder he's a famous monster in the eastern continent. The law of earth, the law of fire, he has grasped two kinds of law of thunder, while Qin Feiyang only has one kind of law of thunder. Moreover, it's said that Yi Tian has comprehended the third profound of the law of earth. So, let's not have too much hope. Everyone muttered softly. Clang! The two profound collided with a loud bang, creating a destructive shockwave that shattered the void above the city. Even the outside of the city was affected. Mountains and rivers collapsed crazily, and the earth trembled, cracked, and sank. It was like the end of the world. In less than 10 breaths, Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian had fought thousands of rounds, and it was difficult to tell who had the upper hand. Very strong. But I have also grasped the third profound. Yi Tian's aura surged into the sky, and the law of earth surged up like a waterfall. In the next moment, a huge divine seal appeared. It was more than 10,000 feet tall, and it was like a towering mountain. It emitted a monstrous aura and suppressed Qin Feiyang. Not good. This is the third profound, the seal of earth. The city lord exclaimed. Shatter. Yi Tian roared. The third profound, huh? Qin Feiyang murmured. He pointed at the sky, and the law of thunder surged out. In the sky, one after another, lightning dragons appeared out of nowhere. Roar. Along with a loud dragon roar, all the lightning dragons merged and turned into a huge dragon. It carried a shocking dragon aura and pounced on the seal of earth. What? Yi Tian's eyes widened. Oh my God, he has also comprehended the third profound of the law of thunder. This guy is really hiding his strength. Zhuo Tiansheng exclaimed, feeling that his heart was about to jump out. As for the people in the city below, they were so shocked that their mouths were wide open. They did not expect that Qin Feiyang not only grasped the law of thunder, but also comprehended the third profound. At this moment, thinking of the disdain they had for Qin Feiyang before, they couldn't help but feel ashamed. He just wanted to keep a low profile, so he didn't show his law of thunder. But what about them? They actually talked about right and wrong again and again. Wasn't this the behavior of a clown? Moreover, he only appeared to help them. What was the difference between them and being ungrateful like this? Roar. Clang. High in the sky, the shield of earth shone brightly. The lightning dragon roared and shook the sky. In the end, the two profound abilities collided together. The world suddenly lost its color. The void above the city turned into chaos in an instant. The terrifying battle fluctuations spread millions of miles away, and everywhere there was a scene of heaven and earth collapsing. So scary. Who is fighting? The fierce beasts in the mountains outside the city, as well as those who were training in the mountains, all soared into the sky, looking in the direction of Wind Sea City in surprise. In the chaotic zone, Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian's figures intertwined, crazily colliding. Destructive auras constantly roared out. Yi Tian didn't dare to be careless and went all out. Swish! About a moment later, Yi Tian's speed suddenly skyrocketed, and he instantly appeared behind Qin Feiyang. He raised the hammer of earth and smashed it towards Qin Feiyang's head. Heaven-defying support technique? Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly used the walk-word technique, narrowly avoiding it. He also grasped a heaven-defying support technique? Yi Tian was slightly stunned, then shook his head and said, but it's just a lower level. Swish! He took another step forward, and his speed was many times faster than Qin Feiyang's walk-word technique. In the blink of an eye, he appeared behind Qin Feiyang again and smashed the hammer of earth madly. At this critical moment, Qin Feiyang activated his first profound, the thunder armor. Crack! After all, the hammer of earth was the second profound. The thunder armor instantly shattered, and Qin Feiyang flew out like a meteor, his back badly mutilated. Although the thunder armor wasn't as powerful as the hammer of earth, it still helped Qin Feiyang block the fatal blow. He was only injured, but not killed. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and a life-divine pill with 7 dragon core chi appeared, and he swallowed it in one gulp. But at the same time, blade of fire. Fury of the fire god. Hammer of Earth. Seal of Earth. Following Yi Tian's roar, the four profundities of law appeared simultaneously and blasted towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang suddenly turned around, and the law of thunder roared in all directions. The two profound abilities, the thunder god's hammer and the fury of thunder, were instantly formed. At the same time, a surge of light energy appeared. This is, Zhuo Tiansheng and the others were shocked again. Clang! With the appearance of the power of light, two long swords appeared out of thin air. They were the two profound laws of light, the sword of light and the sword of judgment. He also has the law of light. And he has already comprehended the second profound. That means Qin Feiyang's talent isn't any worse than Yi Tian's. The city lord and the others looked at each other, and they were extremely shocked. Qin Feiyang had the third profound of the law of thunder, and the second profound of the law of light. Yi Tian had the third profound of the law of earth, and the second profound of the law of fire. Putting aside the worldly possessions, such as heaven-defying divine weapons and techniques, the two of them were on par in terms of talent and comprehension. No. If one were to really calculate, Qin Feiyang was even more terrifying than Yi Tian. Because Qin Feiyang had only just reached the imperishable realm. And Yi Tian had already reached the peak of the imperishable realm. When Qin Feiyang also broke through to the peak of the imperishable realm, his achievements would definitely be higher than Yi Tian's. Monster, just like Little Madman, he was also a real monster. At the same time, the people of Wind Sea City only realized at this moment what kind of person they despised. The shame in their hearts was even more intense, and they couldn't help but want to find a hole to hide in. Clang! Boom! Sword of light, sword of judgment, fury of thunder, hammer of thunder, for profound supernatural powers, blade of fire, fury of fire, hammer of earth, seal of earth, for profound supernatural powers. In an instant, they suddenly blasted together. Immediately, a wave of air even more terrifying than before rolled out. The enchantment set up by the city lord began to distort. Puff! At the same time, Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian's bodies shook, and at the same time, they spat out a mouthful of blood and couldn't help but retreat. Too strong. In terms of law power alone, Qin Feiyang isn't weaker than Yi Tian at all. Qin Feiyang, Madman Mo, what kind of monsters are these? Just reached the imperishable realm, and their comprehension of law power is so deep. Mo Lu Sun Zhengzhong had been standing in front of the window watching the battle, and his heart was incomparably shocked. Whether it was Qin Feiyang or Madman, they were still just children in front of him. But the two's comprehension of the power of laws left him in the dust. Although he had completely comprehended several kinds of law power, this was after reaching the peak of the imperishable realm. When he was at Qin Feiyang's and Madman's age and cultivation level, he couldn't even comprehend the power of law, let alone the third profound divine ability. So, for Qin Feiyang and Madman, he could only use the word monster to describe them. Chapter 3, Release at 10. Chapter 3085. Sigh. Suddenly, a sigh sounded beside Sun Zhengzhong. Who is it? Sun Zhengzhong was startled and quickly turned his head to look. His expression suddenly froze. Unknowingly, an old man in a fiery red robe had appeared at the side. Who else could it be but Elder Hua? Elder Hua, when did you appear? Sun Zhengzhong looked at him in shock. Elder Hua said, I appeared a long time ago, but you were too engrossed in the battle and didn't notice me. Sun Zhengzhong smiled bitterly. How can I not be engrossed in such an exciting battle? That's true. Elder Hua nodded. Then why are you sighing? Sun Zhengzhong was suspicious. I was mocking myself. Elder Hua shook his head. Mocking yourself? Sun Zhengzhong was stunned. That's right. At first, I thought that Qin Feiyang should be a talent, just like Lunatic. But I didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, Lunatic would display amazing strength and talent. Then, I thought that Lunatic was a talent and Qin Feiyang might be ordinary, just relying on external things. But now, this kid has also displayed amazing potential. If I can't even see through two young people, what do I need this pair of eyes for? Elder Hua was extremely angry. Cough cough. Sun Zhengzhong coughed dryly and said, "It's not your fault, they hit it too well." Hit it too well? The corner of Elder Hua's mouth twitched. He really knew how to comfort people. Buzz. Suddenly, the voice transmission stone rang. Elder Hua frowned and took out the voice transmission stone. A shadow appeared. Chu Yun. Old bastard, come back quickly. Chu Yun shouted anxiously. What's wrong? Elder Hua frowned. Those bastards from the Blood Hall actually brought the sovereign divine weapon to our demon hall. Chu Yun said angrily. What? Sun Zhengzhong was shocked. Elder Hua raised his eyebrows and said, the Blood Hall is very arrogant, but they're not that arrogant. It's true. Chu Yun said. Okay. Don't worry, I'll go back right away. Elder Hua comforted Sun Zhengzhong before turning off the divine sound transmission stone. He looked at Sun Zhengzhong and said, I'll leave this to you. You must ensure the safety of Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo. Yes. Sun Zhengzhong nodded. Above the city. Violent winds whistled, and the fluctuations formed from the energy of the laws surged like waves. Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian stood in the air, their eyes burning with fighting spirit. I apologize. Yi Tian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Qin Feiyang. Why? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. I underestimated you. You are qualified to be my opponent. Yi Tian said. But I won't feel honored. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Doesn't matter. In any case, you must die here today. Not only you, but also Madman Mo. Yi Tian's tone was flat, but it was as if he was announcing a death sentence. Die here? I'm afraid it's very difficult. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Huh, Yi Tian laughed loudly. Swish. Suddenly. He took a step forward, and the heaven-defying auxiliary technique from before reappeared, instantly landing behind Qin Feiyang. Since we've already fought to this point, then I won't hide anymore. Go all out. As soon as he finished speaking, he slapped at Qin Feiyang's back. Qin Feiyang hurriedly dodged. However, Yi Tian's speed was so fast that even he couldn't catch it. In just an instant, Yi Tian appeared in front of him and slammed a palm on his chest. Puff! Qin Feiyang was immediately sent flying, spurting blood. This is a peak heaven-defying auxiliary technique. Yi Tian said faintly. He took another step forward and appeared behind Qin Feiyang. He raised his arm and pointed his finger in the air. A divine force swept out like lightning and pierced through Qin Feiyang's back, leaving behind a blood puppet. Too fast. I can't keep up at all. Qin Feiyang felt a lot of pressure. In a battle of this level, speed was crucial. Yi Tian's current speed completely crushed him. Swish. Yi Tian attacked again. Qin Feiyang's body shook, and an invisible force rolled out in all directions like a tide. Soul destruction technique. No matter how fast Yi Tian was, it was impossible for him to guard against such a sudden soul destruction technique. As expected, Yi Tian was immediately drowned by the invisible force. Yi Tian was suddenly shocked, and a trace of blood appeared at the corner of his mouth. But then, a golden light emerged from his body, and a golden bead appeared above his head. The golden light shrouded and blocked the invisible force. I didn't expect you to have mastered the soul destruction technique. Yi Tian raised his eyebrows. I also didn't expect you to have a heaven-defying artifact to protect your divine soul. Qin Feiyang said. That's right. That golden bead was a divine artifact, and it was a high-level heaven-defying artifact. Otherwise, it would be enough to erase Yi Tian's divine soul in an instant. You're really a terrifying person. Yi Tian shook his head. When fighting with this person, the slightest carelessness could erase one's divine soul. One must know. Once the divine soul is erased, even if you have a heaven-defying ability, it would be useless. Same to you. Qin Feiyang smiled. But he was a little irritated. With a heaven-defying artifact to protect the divine soul, the soul destruction technique was useless. How could he deal with Yi Tian's speed? Swish! Yi Tian attacked again, and Qin Feiyang was seriously injured again. He could only try his best to protect his vital points. For example, his sea of consciousness and sea of qi. Because if his sea of consciousness and sea of qi were destroyed, this battle would basically be over. Struggle slowly. Enjoy the last moment of despair. Yi Tian was like a ghost, coming and going without a trace. Every time he appeared, there would be a bloody hole in Qin Feiyang's body. The golden scale sword and Yi Tian's heaven-defying artifact were also locked in a fierce battle in the sky, unable to lend a helping hand. About 10 breaths passed. Qin Feiyang's body was already full of holes, except for his head and lower abdomen. Suddenly, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind. It was also at this moment. Yi Tian attacked again, aiming straight at Qin Feiyang's forehead. Swish! But just as Qin Feiyang was about to die, Qin Feiyang suddenly disappeared in front of Yi Tian. Yi Tian hurriedly scanned the surroundings. There was actually no one. But the next moment, a fatal crisis came from behind. Without any hesitation, the Law of Earth appeared, and a suit of armor shining with divine light appeared. The first profound meaning of the Law of Earth, Armor of Earth. Almost at the same time as the Armor of Earth appeared, a blood-colored long sword appeared from the void and slashed at Yi Tian's back. Clang! Yi Tian immediately flew out, blood gushing out. The Armor of Earth on his body also shattered. But with the Armor of Earth, this sword did not cause a fatal injury to him. Because the Armor of Earth also had an extremely astonishing defensive power. Your reaction is really fast. Qin Feiyang walked out of the void. He thought that this sword could catch Yi Tian off guard, but he did not expect this person's reaction to be so fast. Yi Tian stabilized his body, turned to look at Qin Feiyang, and frowned. A stealth technique? How many tricks are you hiding? More than you can imagine. After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, with a thought, 1,000 incarnations appeared and immediately scattered, surrounding Yi Tian in the center. This was the first time he had activated 3,000 incarnations after entering the Sky Cloud realm. However, he also had some reservations. After all, he still had to face more and stronger opponents in the future, so he could not expose all his strength at once. Just a few incarnations, what can they do? Yi Tian looked around at the incarnations and could not help but frown. Incarnations? Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and shouted, "Activate the profound law." Boom! Clang! The 1,000 incarnations' bodies shook, and the power of the law suddenly surged out. Sword of Light, Sword of Judgment, Hammer of Thunder, Fury of Thunder, the 4 profound supernatural powers were all evolved. How is this possible? Yi Tian looked at this scene in shock. Below, the 3 city lords, Sun Zhengzhong, and the people in the city were all staring with anger. The incarnations actually also mastered the power of the law and could even activate the profound supernatural powers? To hell with it. How was this possible? Kill him! One of the incarnations suddenly roared. He can even give orders? These incarnations, do they all have their own consciousness? No, no, this is too outrageous. Incarnations are incarnations, it is impossible for them to have their own independent consciousness. Everyone's heart was full of confusion. What was going on? Even the people of the Sky Cloud realm felt that the 3,000 incarnations were extremely new and unbelievable. Clang! Following the incarnation's roar, the 1,000 incarnations and the 4,000 profound supernatural powers suddenly rushed toward Yi Tian. They were densely packed and sealed off all directions, making it impossible for Yi Tian to dodge. A trace of panic finally appeared on his face. In the face of this kind of omnidirectional attack, no matter how fast he was, it was useless. Boom! He evolved the profound supernatural powers and blasted them forward. But how could the 4 profound supernatural powers compete with the 4,000 profound supernatural powers? His 4 profound supernatural powers were like a small stone thrown into the sea, directly shattering. But it was not useless. Testing the waters of the 4 great profound divine abilities made him discover a shocking situation. The profound supernatural powers of these incarnations were not the slightest bit weaker than Qin Feiyang's. Were they really incarnations? He would rather believe that they were Qin Feiyang's twin brothers, although this was even more outrageous. This must be his trump card. Terrifying, really terrifying. If his cultivation was the same as ours, I'm afraid even we wouldn't be his opponent. The city lord exclaimed. Yes. It was fine if he didn't make a move, but once he made a move, it brought us shock after shock. Like Yi Tian asked, how many more of these tricks does he have? Elder Yu and Zhuo Tiansheng looked at this scene with a shocked expression. But they were secretly communicating, but the shock on their faces was undisguised. Because this was uncontrollable. After all, the methods Qin Feiyang displayed were indeed shocking. Even if the deputy leader was present, he would be the same as them. Profound supernatural powers filled the sky like meteors. Who had seen such a spectacular scene before? In the sky. Previously, it was the golden scale sword that wanted to support Qin Feiyang, but now it was Yi Tian's turn to support Yi Tian. But how could the golden scale sword let it escape? Yi Tian's current situation was precarious. Chapter 3086. Boom! But suddenly, a terrifying aura emerged. Following closely, a sword light descended from the sky, easily cutting off the golden scale sword and Yi Tian's heaven-defying artifact. That sword light seemed to split the heavens and earth, tearing the chaos into 2 halves. Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian immediately looked up, their eyes filled with shock. 2 pinnacle heaven-defying artifacts were actually so vulnerable. At the same time, Zhuo Tiansheng and the other 2, Sun Zhengzhong, and everyone in the city also looked up at the sword light in horror. Clang! After the sword light cut off the 2 heaven-defying artifacts, it went straight for Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian below. The speed was unbelievably fast. That edge was even more overwhelming, and the profound divine ability evolved by 1,000 incarnations was immediately destroyed in the void. Whether it was Qin Feiyang or Yi Tian, they all felt a fatal threat. Who? Yi Tian said angrily. However, no one answered. The sword light rushed over crazily. This is the sword light of a supreme heaven-defying artifact, comparable to the existence of a great perfection dominator. Quickly retreat. Yi Tian hurriedly looked at Qin Feiyang and roared. What? So strong? Qin Feiyang's expression changed abruptly. But just as the 2 of them were about to escape, a mysterious force emerged out of thin air, and the 2 of them immediately stood in the void, motionless. That way, it was as if time had stopped. At the same time, the sword light rushed over. The edge tore the heavens and split the earth, and even the enchantment set up by the city lord was shattering. Quickly help! Otherwise, Wind Sea City will be razed to the ground. The city lord came back to his senses and hurriedly shouted. Whoosh! At that moment, the city lord, Zhuo Tiansheng, and Elder Yu rushed out of the enchantment, and their divine power roared out, blasting towards the sword light. However, it was useless. Not only was it useless, the joint attack of the three was like a dead tree, unable to withstand a single blow, and was instantly shattered by the sword light. Swish! It was also at this moment Sun Zhengzhong appeared. The aura of a great perfection dominator completely erupted. Looking at the city lord and the other two, he shouted, again. Of the 4 people, 2 were Great Perfection Dominator Realm and 2 Great Perfection Dominator Realm. They had completely comprehended several types of law profound. For a moment, all kinds of profound divine skills appeared and attacked the sword light. However, it was useless. The difference of 1 minor realm in the sovereign realm was like the difference between heaven and earth. All the profound divine abilities were shattered. The 4 of them spat out a mouthful of blood and were sent flying. Elder Yu and Zhuo Tiansheng's injuries were the heaviest. Because their cultivations were weaker than the 2 of them, their faces were deathly pale. Supreme-grade heaven-defying divine artifact. There aren't many artifacts of this level in the entire eastern continent. Who exactly is it? Sun Zhengzhong roared. But still, no one answered. In the sky, Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian remained motionless, as if they hadn't noticed anything. This is the law of time, time stop. The city lord exclaimed. Quick, break the time stop. Sun Zhengzhong shouted. Before Elder Huo left, he had instructed him to ensure Qin Feiyang's safety. If something were to happen, how would he explain it to Elder Huo? In the meantime, the mayor, Elder Yu, and Zhuo Tiansheng didn't dare to let anything happen to Yi Tian. Yi Yuan had already died in Wind Sea City. If Yi Tian were to die here, then the Vice Alliance Master wouldn't let them off easily. The 4 of them attacked again, but this time, their target wasn't the sword light, but the law of time that enveloped Qin Feiyang and Zhuo Tiansheng. However, the law of time was one of the strongest laws in the world. To compete with the law of time, one must use the law of time, law of causality, law of life, or law of nothingness. Although the 4 of them had mastered several law of time, none of them were comparable to the law of time. They couldn't shake it at all. Moreover, they guessed that the cultivation of the person in the dark should have reached the perfection sovereign realm. In the blink of an eye, Qin Feiyang and Zhuo Tiansheng, who were frozen in the void, were about to lose their lives under the sword light. Clang! At this moment, the ancient castle appeared. A mighty divine aura emerged, and the time stop was immediately broken. Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian immediately recovered. Let's go. Qin Feiyang immediately looked at the ancient castle and shouted. Yi Tian, the city lord, and the others looked at the ancient castle in surprise. What kind of artifact was this? It could actually break the other party's law of time? The ancient castle shook in the void, and immediately swept up Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian, escaping into the air. Don't even think about it. However, at this moment, a murderous roar rang out. Clang! The next moment, a long sword that looked like it was condensed from ice shot out from the void. This is the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword. Qin Feiyang was shocked and angry. That's right. It's the original body. The Ice Dragon Sacred Sword laughed and instantly recovered, its sharpness enveloping the world. Crack! Wind Sea City's enchantment shattered on the spot. Sun Zhengzhong, the city lord, and the other 2 were also dripping with blood under that sharpness. The 4 of them hurriedly retreated to the top of the city, divine power rolling out, and roared, quickly escape the city. At that moment, everyone in the city quivered and hurriedly fled out of the city. But with the strength of the four of them, how could they block the sharpness of the ice dragon sacred sword? One had to know. The ice dragon sacred sword was a sovereign divine weapon. The strength of the four was annihilated in an instant, and the sharpness was like a torrent, surging towards the city below. This is a sovereign divine weapon. The young master and the city lord's eyes trembled, and they couldn't help but feel despair. But at this moment, a mighty divine power emerged, covering the entire Wind Sea city in an instant, blocking the sharpness of the ice dragon sacred sword. What? Everyone looked at the ancient castle in shock. What are you still standing there for? Run, run as far as you can. Sun Zhengzhong roared. Everyone quivered and continued to flee out of the city. Sun Zhengzhong, the city lord, and the other two also frantically fled out of the city. But inside, they couldn't calm down. It was too unbelievable. The ancient castle was also a sovereign divine weapon. In the sky, Yi Tian also looked at Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle with a face of surprise. Sovereign divine weapons, even in the entire sky cloud realm, were few and far between. And as the deputy alliance leader, Zhang Sun also knew a little about the sovereign divine weapons of the major forces. But now he realized that he didn't know about the two sovereign divine weapons in front of him. You're still not leaving? Qin Feiyang roared. Yi Tian came back to his senses, took a deep look at Qin Feiyang, turned around, and fled into the air. But at this moment, the ice dragon sacred sword attacked. Yi Tian's face changed, and he hurriedly ran to Qin Feiyang's side. He had no choice. The power of the sovereign divine weapon was enough to shatter his bones in an instant. Even if he hid in the space divine object, it would be useless. Because no space divine object could block the power of the sovereign divine weapon. So, he could only follow Qin Feiyang and stay under the protection of the ancient castle to ensure his safety. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows at Yi Tian's behavior, but he didn't care. He raised his head to look at the ice dragon sacred sword and said in a deep voice, "You're really haunting me. If I don't kill you, I swear I won't give up." The ice dragon sacred sword's voice was filled with malevolence. Countless sword chi surged and bombarded the ancient castle. Clang clang. The ancient castle shook violently. Divine might overflowed into the heavens as it blasted towards the sword chi. A world-destroying wave of air instantly covered the sky and surged in all directions. The Wind Sea city below was directly reduced to ashes by this wave of air. Fortunately, the people in the city had already evacuated. Otherwise, it would have been a scene of misery and suffering. To the Star River. Qin Feiyang shouted, his eyes filled with killing intent. This was not the first or second time. If this continued, who knew when he would be ambushed by the ice dragon sacred sword again? Therefore, he had to destroy this source of trouble. The reason he went to the Star River was to avoid harming innocent creatures. Because he wanted to open the slaughter domain. The ancient castle naturally understood what he meant and immediately brought the two of them to rush towards the Star River. Yi Tian had been observing Qin Feiyang the entire time. He could clearly see the killing intent in Qin Feiyang's eyes. Was he going to attack the sovereign divine weapon? Clang! However, just as the ancient castle was about to enter the Star River, the sword light that had appeared before once again appeared, crazily rushing towards the ancient castle and Qin Feiyang. You think you can stop this sovereign with just a supreme-level heaven-defying artifact? The ancient castle coldly snorted, the divine might roared, and the sword light directly shattered. Then, it brought Qin Feiyang and the other two into the vast Star River without looking back. Qin Feiyang, what exactly is going on? Yi Tian looked at the ice dragon sacred sword behind him and frowned. I originally thought that it was your grandfather who wanted to kill me, but I didn't expect it to be him. But I'm a little puzzled. They were clearly here for me, but why did they kill you as well? Qin Feiyang said. So you're saying that I'm a fish in the pond? Yi Tian was stunned. Fish in the pond? Qin Feiyang sneered, and said, I already had a premonition that this matter was not simple, and the result was as I expected. What do you mean? Yi Tian raised his eyebrows. You've been used. In other words, you're a bait to lure me out. And if I'm not wrong, your grandfather is also involved in this matter. Qin Feiyang said. My grandfather is also involved? Yi Tian frowned. That's right. Do you know which power this Dominator divine weapon belongs to? Qin Feiyang asked. I don't know. Yi Tian shook his head. Western Continent, Blood Palace. Qin Feiyang spoke word by word. What? Yi Tian was shocked. But then. He glared at Qin Feiyang and said, You mean, my grandfather colluded with the Blood Palace? What else? Didn't I just kill a Wang Hui in Tianfeng City, and this matter was Wang Hui's fault in the first place? But your grandfather has been holding on to it, trying every means to kill me, and even got you and Yi Yuan to come out and find me. Isn't there something fishy about this? I couldn't figure it out in the past, but now that I've seen the Ice Dragon Holy Sword, I finally understand that all of this is instigated by the Blood Palace. Qin Feiyang sneered. Impossible. My grandfather is not such a person. Yi Tian said angrily. Whether it's true or not, it's not up to you to decide. However, I really admire his ruthlessness. He actually didn't even let his own grandson off. Qin Feiyang sneered. It can't be, Yi Tian shook his head. Although the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and the Demon Palace were not on good terms, this was an internal matter of the Eastern Continent. How could his grandfather collude with the Blood Palace of the Western Continent? Because this was a betrayal of the Eastern Continent. Chapter 3087. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he looked at Yi Tian and asked, Then tell me, if your grandfather is really colluding with the Blood Hall, what will you do? I don't know. A trace of confusion appeared in Yi Tian's eyes. Qin Feiyang did not ask again. Because now, they had already entered the Star River. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword and sneered, You really dare to chase after me? Die. The Ice Dragon Sacred Sword roared and crazily slashed at Qin Feiyang. The terrifying sharpness immediately shattered millions of miles of space. I don't have time to care about you now, you're on your own. Qin Feiyang looked at Yi Tian and said indifferently, then disappeared. Yi Tian frowned, looked at the ancient castle, then looked at the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword, then looked around. In the end, he decisively activated the peak-level heaven-defying support technique and rushed into the depths of the Star River. Clang! The Ice Dragon Sacred Sword and the ancient castle also collided, and a destructive aura suddenly rolled out. This is the strength of a sovereign weapon. Yi Tian, who had retreated far away, looked at this scene with eyes full of shock. Clang! Just as the ancient castle and the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword were locked in battle, accompanied by a sword cry, another 3-feet-long sword appeared. Heaven Dragon God Sword. It appeared too suddenly. And as soon as it appeared, it fully recovered and slashed at the ancient castle. Clang! A crack suddenly appeared on the ancient castle's body. What? There's another sovereign weapon. Yi Tian was dumbfounded. And it was also a sovereign weapon that he had never heard of before. What was going on? When did the Blood Hall have these two sovereign weapons? Rumble. The three sovereign weapons fought crazily. The collision of divine power, the confrontation of the power of laws, caused the vast Star River to collapse crazily, as if doomsday had arrived. More and more cracks appeared on the ancient castle. Facing two sovereign weapons, it was still very difficult for it. Although Yi Yuan was watching the battle, he was also paying attention to his surroundings. Because that supreme-level heaven-defying artifact and the person who mastered the time law had not appeared. He had been thinking about a question in his mind. Was grandfather really colluding with the Blood Hall? To be honest, he was very unwilling to believe it. Boom! Suddenly, a shocking killing intent surged. Yi Tian was shocked. This was a killing intent that he had never felt before. He quickly looked up and saw a figure covered in blood standing beside the three sovereign divine weapons. Qin Feiyang? How is this possible? Yi Tiantong was tongue-tied. At this moment, Qin Feiyang was simply like a god of death. The blood-red sword in his hand, in particular, emitted a sharp light that was not inferior to the three sovereign divine weapons at all. If you have the guts, don't run away today. Qin Feiyang's gaze was directly locked onto the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword and the Dragon God Sword. Clang! The blood-colored sword released a deafening sword cry. He took a step forward, raised the blood-colored sword, and slashed at the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Sword. Dazzling sparks shot out, and the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Sword was sent flying on the spot. This, Yi Tian was shocked to the extreme. This man actually had the strength to fight against a sovereign weapon. Was this really the Qin Feiyang who had fought with him to a standstill before? Just as Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle were fighting the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Sword and the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword. Demon Palace. Dozens of people stood in the air in a stalemate. On one side was the Blood Palace. On the other side was the Demon Palace. On the Blood Palace's side, the leader was the blood-red clothed old man, Old Hai, and the Grand Deacon. On the Demon Palace's side, the leader was the Demon Palace's Hall Master, Old Hua, and Chu Yun. High up in the sky, the Blood Palace's sovereign divine weapon, the Horsetail Whisk, and the Demon Palace's sovereign divine weapon, the Red Sword, were also facing each other across the air. The atmosphere at the scene was extremely oppressive. The disciples of the Demon Palace had also retreated from the Demon Palace. They surrounded the people from the Blood Palace in the distance, their eyes filled with anger and fear. Buzz! Suddenly, the sound of the divine sound transmission stone came out. Chu Yun raised her eyebrows, took out the divine sound transmission stone, and a shadow appeared. It was Sun Zhengzhong. Miss Yun, something bad has happened. There are two sovereign divine weapons that have never been seen before coming to Wine Sea City. There is also a mysterious person who has mastered the laws of space and time, and a supreme divine weapon. Their target is Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian. Sun Zhengzhong exclaimed. What? Chu Yun's expression changed. Old Hua, who was beside her, was also shocked. He quickly walked to Chu Yun's side and asked, then what's the situation now? They have already killed their way into the Star River. Their aura is too terrifying. I can't follow them in. I can only sense their aura, so I don't know how the battle is going. Sun Zhengzhong shook his head. Got it. Chu Yun nodded gloomily, then turned off the divine sound transmission stone, raised her head to look at Old Hai and the others, and sneered, I was wondering why you didn't make a move. It turns out that you were just trying to restrain us and prevent us from helping Qin Feiyang. That's right. Old Hai nodded. In order to kill Qin Feiyang, you guys have really put in a lot of effort. But I don't understand. Qin Feiyang is just a person from the lower realm. What deep grudge does he have with your Blood Palace? Old Hua frowned. This has nothing to do with you. You just have to stay out of it. Old Hai said. Then what if we insist on interfering? Old Hua laughed sinisterly. If we insist on interfering, Old Hai murmured as killing intent flashed in his eyes. Then we can only fight to the death. Fight to the death. Old Hua's eyes trembled. In order to kill Qin Feiyang, the Blood Palace was actually so reckless. What kind of secret was hidden in this? You have to know that the Blood Palace has an absolute advantage now. Because we don't have to worry about the disciples of the Blood Palace and the people of the Western continent. But you guys are different. We are in the demonic palace now. If we really fight, not only the demonic palace, but the entire Eastern continent will be caught in the flames of war. In the end, even if we are all annihilated, the Eastern continent will become a purgatory. Old Hai sneered. Old Hua's face darkened. That's right. Now. They really didn't dare to fight with the Blood Palace. For supreme existences like them, the entire Eastern continent would be turned into a battlefield once a battle broke out. When the time came, the people would be plunged into misery and suffering, and blood would flow like rivers. This was absolutely unavoidable. As the overlord and ruler of the Eastern continent, they definitely couldn't let this happen. At the same time, Alliance Capital. The Vice Alliance Master suddenly stood up and looked at the Void City Lord's shadow in front of him. He shouted, "What did you say? Tian'er was attacked by 2 sovereign divine weapons?" "Yes." The City Lord nodded. "What's going on?" The Vice Alliance Master was confused. Didn't they say that they would only kill Qin Feiyang? Why did they kill Tian'er as well? Where are they now? The Vice Alliance Master asked in a deep voice. The City Lord said, "They are in the Star River. Young Master is also in the Star River. We don't know if he is alive or dead." "Bastard!" The Vice Alliance Master roared. He immediately put away the divine sound transmission stone, opened the altar, and rushed toward Wind Sea City. Star River. The battle between Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle, the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword and the Celestial Dragon God Sword, had already reached its climax. Qin Feiyang was covered in blood. However, the blood that flowed out was also absorbed by the blood-colored longsword. The ancient castle, the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword, and the Celestial Dragon God Sword also had many cracks. Qin Feiyang, the humiliation you brought to me in the ancient world, I will pay you back 100 times today. The Celestial Dragon God Sword roared. 99 heavenly dragons roared out, carrying with them the power to destroy the heavens and earth, and charged toward Qin Feiyang. You? I could crush you back then, and I can do the same today. Qin Feiyang's blood-colored hair fluttered. The blood-colored longsword in his hand bloomed with dazzling blood light. Countless sword chi turned into 99 blood dragons and rushed forward crazily. Boom! At this moment, the entire Star River was trembling. Yi Tian retreated again and again. His heart was filled with shock. It turned out that this was Qin Feiyang's true strength. When he fought with him, it was not even 1 in 10,000. However, ancient world? What was this? Was there such a place in the Sky Cloud realm? Sword domain, soul seas. The celestial dragon god sword shone brightly. A sword chi formed from sword chi enveloped Qin Feiyang. This was the ultimate killing move of the celestial dragon god sword. It could instantly erase a person's divine soul. Qin Feiyang had already experienced it. He directly retreated and slashed out with the blood-colored longsword. Boom! The sword domain shattered. The Star River was annihilated. On the other side, the ancient castle and the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword also attacked without holding back. Although there was no blood, their bodies were shattering. As sovereign divine weapons, each fragment had the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Qin Feiyang, we can't continue fighting. Suddenly, the voice of the ancient castle sounded in Qin Feiyang's mind. Why? Qin Feiyang frowned. Have you ever wondered why the person hiding in the dark and the heaven-defying supreme artifact never showed up? If I'm not wrong, they want to wait for us and the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword and the Dragon God Sword to injure each other before coming out to kill us. This is also the reason why the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword and the Dragon God Sword are so desperate to fight us. But we are different. Although the Black Tortoise Realm has many heaven-defying divine weapons, none of them have reached the level of supreme divine weapon. As for that little brat, although he can control the origin energy, you also know the consequences of using the origin energy to fight against a sovereign divine weapon. Moreover, we don't know if there are any other hidden experts besides the mysterious person who controls the law of time and the supreme divine weapon. In the end, not only will we die, even the creatures in the Black Tortoise Realm won't be able to escape. The ancient castle said in a deep voice. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled as he roared, "But I'm not willing." "I know you're not willing. I'm not happy either. But we have no choice now. We have to endure. When you become stronger, we'll find them and settle the old and new debts together." The ancient castle said. Qin Feiyang was silent. "Are you waiting for the people from the Demon Palace? Don't wait. Look at how big the commotion is, but the people from the Demon Palace still haven't appeared. What does this mean? It means that they must be in trouble. Perhaps it's as you said. This is a meticulously planned scheme by the Blood Palace. Since it was planned by the Blood Palace, how could they let the Blood Demon support us? Where there's life, there's hope. Don't be impulsive." The ancient castle said. Qin Feiyang's face sank as he thought to himself, "All right, I'll find them and settle the old and new debts together." Retreat. Chapter 3088. As soon as he finished speaking, Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle immediately charged towards the Dragon God Sword and the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword with all their might. Clang! Accompanied by two loud sounds, the two sovereign-level divine weapons were immediately sent flying. But at the same time, that terrifying power also sent Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle flying, smashing into the depths of the Star River. Blood gushed out of Qin Feiyang's mouth. The ancient castle was also in a situation where it was almost torn apart. "How are you guys?" Yi Tian was in the depths of the Star River, looking at Qin Feiyang and the ancient castle that was smashing towards him. He frowned. "I won't die." Qin Feiyang forcefully stabilized his body, and was about to call out Qin Batian. But at this moment, Yi Tian waved his hand, and a space-time teleportation channel appeared. Qin Feiyang was stunned. "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go." Yi Tian roared and took the lead to enter the teleportation channel. Qin Feiyang regained his senses and immediately followed the ancient castle into the teleportation channel. "Don't even think about it." Seeing this, the Dragon God Sword and the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword crazily attacked. "If we want to leave, you can't stop us." Qin Feiyang's voice rang out in the space-time teleportation channel. Following closely, the blood-colored sword flew out from the channel and charged towards the two sovereign-level divine weapons. With a loud bang, the two sovereign-level divine weapons crushed the blood-colored sword, but when they looked at the teleportation channel again, it had already closed. Damn it, damn it! The Dragon God Sword and the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword roared again and again. It was not easy to seize this opportunity, but who would have thought that Qin Feiyang would slip away again? As for the mysterious man hiding in the dark and the supreme-level heaven-defying artifact, they did not appear from the beginning to the end. Demon Palace. Both sides were still in a stalemate. Suddenly, a middle-aged man in black flew over from afar and landed beside the blood-red clothed old man, muttering a few words in a low voice. "What?" The blood-red clothed old man raised his eyebrows. The Demon Palace Lord laughed. Looking at your reaction, they didn't succeed. The blood-red clothed old man stared at the Demon Palace Lord. Huh, the Blood Hall's big shots came out in full force, and the two sovereign divine weapons even went to Wind Sea City in person, but they still couldn't stop a little guy who just reached the imperishable realm. If this matter were to spread out, I'm afraid your Blood Hall would become the laughingstock of the Sky Cloud realm. Elder Hua laughed complacently. The mockery on the faces of Chu Yun and the group of Demon Hall heavyweights behind her was undisguised. Go! The blood-red clothed old man shouted angrily as he opened a stone door and left. Old Hai and the others also walked through the stone door with gloomy faces. The horsetail whisk didn't linger and quickly flew through the stone door. Awesome, this is awesome. Elder Hua could not stop laughing. Yeah. This is the first time I've seen this old thing with such an ugly expression. The Demon Hall Master also nodded and smiled. Hey, is this the time to be happy? The Blood Hall didn't succeed this time. Given their conduct, there will definitely be a next time. We have to think of a way. Chu Yun frowned. Elder Hua and the Demon Hall Master looked at each other and fell silent. Hall Master, Elder Hua, Little Yun, who is this Qin Feiyang? Not only does he have such terrifying means, but he also made the Blood Hall so wary. The group of Demon Hall heavyweights behind the three looked at Elder Hua and the other two suspiciously. The Demon Hall Master pondered for a while and sighed. They are people from the lower world. Lower world? The group of heavyweights was stunned. That's right. As for the grudge between them and the Blood Hall, we don't know. However, the Blood Hall's enemy is also our Demon Hall's friend. Moreover, the Blood Hall has two sovereign divine weapons now. We can't lose this Qin Feiyang. Because our Demon Hall only has one sovereign divine weapon. If the Blood Hall really starts a war, it won't do us any good. Chu Yun said. One of the heavyweights frowned and said, Little Yun, are you saying that we should curry favor with this Qin Feiyang? Not curry favor, but cooperation. Chu Yun said. Then why don't we think of a way to snatch his sovereign divine weapon? Another heavyweight said. Snatch? Even two sovereign divine weapons can't stop them. Do you think we can snatch it with our strength? Chu Yun raised her eyebrows. The heavyweights fell silent. Moreover, this kid also has a heaven-defying ability. His strength can also reach the level of a sovereign divine weapon. So we can't fight to the death with him like the Blood Hall. Chu Yun said. Little Yun is right. Whether it's this Qin Feiyang or that madman Mo, their talents are extremely shocking. Their future achievements might not be any worse than ours. So, being friends with them is the wisest choice. The Demon Hall Master nodded. Chu Yun glanced at Elder Hua and said with a smile, I'll leave this matter to you. Me? Elder Hua was slightly stunned. He shook his head and said, It's not like you don't know Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo's attitude. They are not interested in our Demon Hall at all. Then what do you think we should do? Chu Yun frowned. Elder Hua pondered for a moment and said, I think we shouldn't force them. We should secretly help them and let them feel our goodwill. I agree. If we force them, it will only cause them to be disgusted. The Demon Hall Master nodded and waved his hand, all right, let's disperse. Also, don't tell anyone about Qin Feiyang and the others' origins to avoid causing a commotion. Understood. The heavyweights nodded and turned to leave. After the heavyweights left, Elder Hua said to Chu Yun, Do you think they were disgusted by my attitude back then? Is that why they are unwilling to come to our Demon Hall? What attitude? The two of them were suspicious. Elder Hua said, I just looked down on them. That's possible. Chu Yun smiled mockingly. You're still smiling. Didn't you have such an attitude back then? Elder Hua glared at Chu Yun. But I didn't show it. They didn't know, but you did. Chu Yun said. Elder Hua's face darkened. He said, I'm going to relax. After saying that, he turned around and left. Chu Yun and the Demon Hall Master looked at each other and couldn't help but smile. Then, they also left. At the same time. Wind Sea City. The city was no longer there. The ground was also filled with the sky. The people of Wind Sea City surrounded the void and looked at the Star River. The battle fluctuations disappeared. Is the battle over? But why didn't I see anyone coming out of the Star River? Everyone's eyes were filled with surprise. The Dragon God Sword, the Ice Dragon Sacred Sword, the Mysterious Person, and the supreme-level heaven-defying divine artifact had all opened the altar and left. So until now, no one had seen anyone come out of the Star River. At the peak of the clouds, 4 figures stood side by side. They were Sun Zhengzhong, Zhuo Tiansheng, the City Lord, and Elder Yu. Swoosh! Suddenly, a sinister aura descended. The 4 of them were shocked and hurriedly turned their heads to look. They saw a green-robed old man holding a snake-shaped walking stick appear in the void behind them. Greetings, Deputy Alliance Leader. The City Lord and the other 2 hurriedly went forward and bowed. Sun Zhengzhong frowned and did not make a sound. The green-robed old man glanced at the City Lord and the other 2, then looked at Sun Zhengzhong, and then looked at the Star River, frowning. Why is there no movement? The battle fluctuations just now suddenly disappeared, we don't know what's going on. The City Lord hurriedly said. When the Deputy Alliance Leader heard this, he immediately turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the Star River. The City Lord and the other 2 followed closely behind. Sun Zhengzhong hesitated for a moment before following in. When they entered the Star River, they found that there was no one in sight. The 5 of them suddenly froze there. Where was he? The Deputy Alliance Leader came back to his senses and immediately looked at the City Lord and the other 2, shouting, Where's Tian? We didn't see the young master come out, we don't know either. The City Lord and the other 2 were terrified. Trash, trash. The Deputy Alliance Leader was furious, and the snake-shaped walking stick in his hand suddenly released a terrifying aura. The City Lord and the other 2 were immediately blasted out, their faces pale and blood gushing out. Please forgive us, Lord. The 3 of them did not dare to resist at all and knelt in the void. If anything happens to Tian, I will hold you responsible. The Deputy Alliance Leader roared and turned around and left like lightning. At the same time, in the depths of an unknown mountain, Yi Tian stood in the sky, his face was full of fear. However, Qin Feiyang's face was extremely gloomy. As for the ancient castle, it had already returned to the Black Tortoise world to repair its damaged body. Huff! A moment later, Yi Tian let out a long breath and raised his head to look at Qin Feiyang. His eyes were complicated. Originally, he was here to kill Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo, but he did not expect to escape with this person. This should be considered a life-and-death friend. Qin Feiyang, you saved me once in the sky above Wind Sea City, and I saved you once in the Star River. We're even. Yi Tian said. You should know that there are people around me who have mastered the space-time law, so I don't need you to do anything, and I can easily leave. Qin Feiyang said. Yi Tian could not help but frown, not grateful? But, Qin Feiyang changed the topic and smiled faintly, I still have to thank you. Hearing this, Yi Tian's brows relaxed. That's more like it. Qin Feiyang asked, do we still have to continue the battle? Yi Tian's expression stiffened, and he smiled bitterly, there's no need, you can even fight against a sovereign divine weapon, how can I be your opponent? You're not bad yourself. The world only knows that you've mastered the earth and fire laws, but they don't know that you've also mastered the space-time law. Qin Feiyang said. You should at least have some trump cards. Yi Tian shook his head and smiled. Then how many trump cards are you hiding? Qin Feiyang was curious. What about you? Yi Tian asked. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, and said, since we're not fighting, then I'll take my leave. Wait. Yi Tian hurriedly stopped Qin Feiyang and asked, where's Madman Mo? He's in seclusion. I know what you're thinking. To be honest, even if you still have the spacetime law, you're not his opponent. Besides, your brother's death was not his fault. I believe you should be a reasonable person. Qin Feiyang said. Yi Tian fell silent. Of course, he knew what Yi Yuan had done in Wind Sea City. But that was his brother after all, blood was thicker than water. He couldn't let it go just like that. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, help me tell Madman Mo that I'm waiting to fight with him. No matter who wins or loses in the end, this matter is over. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Yi Tian's meaning was already very clear, to use this battle to end things. Qin Feiyang could also understand. After all, they were brothers, Yi Tian had to do something. Chapter 3089. Just as Yi Tian opened a spacetime passage and was about to leave, the voice transmission stone suddenly vibrated. Yi Tian was stunned and took out the voice transmission stone. Qin Feiyang was also about to enter the Black Tortoise realm. Seeing this, he couldn't help but glance at Yi Tian. The person who sent Yi Tian a message at this time was most likely the deputy leader. He was still very unfamiliar with the deputy leader of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, so he couldn't help but be curious. Yi Tian checked the voice transmission stone and couldn't help but glance at Qin Feiyang. It's your grandfather? Qin Feiyang asked. Yes. Yi Tian nodded. Then do you need me to leave? Qin Feiyang said. You obviously don't want to leave, and you still ask me? Yi Tian shook his head and activated the voice transmission stone. Buzz. The figure of a green-robed old man immediately appeared. Who else could it be but the deputy leader? Grandfather. Yi Tian bowed. Tian, are you all right? The deputy leader's face was full of concern. I'm fine. Yi Tian shook his head. Looking at the concern on his grandfather's face, he couldn't help but feel warm in his heart. It's good that you're fine. The deputy leader also breathed a sigh of relief and asked, then where are you now? Where's Qin Feiyang? I'm in the mountains south of Wind Sea City. As for Qin Feiyang, Yi Tian glanced at Qin Feiyang standing opposite him and said, he's already left. He's not dead? The deputy leader frowned. No. Yi Tian shook his head. Even with 2 sovereign divine weapons, they still couldn't kill him. This person is really lucky. The deputy leader's face was full of disbelief. How do you know there are 2 sovereign divine weapons? Does this matter really have something to do with you? Yi Tian raised his eyebrows. The deputy leader's heart trembled, and he said with a smile, what does this matter have to do with me? I know about the 2 sovereign divine weapons because Zhuo Tiansheng and the others reported to me. Just now, I personally went to Wind Sea City, but you've already left. Really? Yi Tian asked. Of course. When have I ever lied to you? The deputy leader smiled. Yi Tian took a deep breath and said with a smile, that's all for now. I'll go back immediately. Okay. The vice leader nodded. Yi Tian turned off the divine sound transmission stone and looked at Qin Feiyang. I told you, this has nothing to do with my grandfather. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but frown. I believe in my grandfather. As for the blood hall you mentioned, it's actually very easy to understand. Think about it. Whether it was the battle between my younger brother and Madman Mo, or today's battle between you and I. Both of them caused an uproar in the Eastern continent. I believe you also know that the Blood Hall has always had many spies lurking in our Eastern continent. So, they naturally know about this. So, they hid in the Wind Sea City in advance, waiting for us to fight. What I'm saying is, if grandfather is truly colluding with the Blood Hall, then they wouldn't have killed me as well. Yi Tian said. Qin Feiyang remained silent. Yi Tian's analysis was very reasonable, but his intuition told him that the Vice Alliance Master was definitely related to this matter. All right. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. Anyway, it's not very important to our relationship. You must tell Madman Mo what I said just now. I'll be waiting for him at any time. After saying that, Yi Tian opened another space-time tunnel and turned around to leave. Qin Feiyang looked at Yi Tian's back. Putting aside other things, this person's character was actually quite good. He was very clear about gratitude and grudges. Unfortunately, their standpoints were different, and they were destined to not be friends. Whoosh! Suddenly, a fiery red figure appeared in the void in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly raised his head. However, when he saw who it was, his expression was rather stunned. What's with your expression? Elder Hua looked at him with dissatisfaction. No, how did you know I was here? Qin Feiyang frowned. One had to know that this time, it was Yi Tian who opened the space-time tunnel and brought him to the depths of this unknown mountain. Logically speaking, even if Elder Hua's methods were heaven-defying, he shouldn't know his whereabouts. This old man can tell your fortune. Do you believe me? Elder Hua smiled proudly. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered and suddenly took out a token. This was Elder Hua's identity token. Needless to say, it was definitely related to this thing. Seeing this, Elder Hua's pupils shrank slightly and he asked suspiciously, "Why did you take out this token? Still playing dumb? Do you believe that I won't crush it right now?" Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Ahem. Elder Hua coughed dryly and said with a smile, "Nothing can escape your eyes. But don't misunderstand, I'm not doing this to monitor you." Then why? Qin Feiyang was now very unhappy that Elder Hua played such a small trick. This token must contain Elder Hua's divine sense. Through this divine sense, Elder Hua could easily know his whereabouts. You're not familiar with the Sky Cloud realm. If you encounter any danger, no one will help you. So, this old man is doing this to protect you. If you really encounter any danger, this old man can immediately know your location through this token and rush over to save you. Elder Hua smiled. So, I have to thank you? Qin Feiyang looked at him playfully. That's not necessary. Elder Hua waved his hand. Since you're doing this to protect me, why didn't you appear when the Blood Hall came to kill me? Are you afraid? Qin Feiyang smiled playfully. Afraid? In the Sky Cloud realm, there's no one that this old man is afraid of. Elder Hua said proudly. You're bragging. Qin Feiyang pursed his lips. I'm not bragging. This old man didn't appear because I was restrained by the Blood Hall and couldn't get away. Elder Hua sighed. Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. As expected, the Demon Hall was also in trouble. Fortunately, he didn't continue fighting. Otherwise, what Gu Chao was worried about might really happen. Because a super giant that dominated the Western continent could get as much support as he wanted. But he couldn't. He could only rely on himself and the people around him. First in the Sky Cloud Ocean, and now in the Wind Sea City. It seems like the Blood Hall won't let this go. Kid, listen to this old man's advice and follow me to the Demon Hall. At least in the Demon Hall, the Blood Hall won't dare to act so recklessly. After Elder Hua finished speaking, he looked at Qin Feiyang's reaction. He wanted to know if he would be disgusted. But Qin Feiyang didn't feel disgusted. On the contrary, there was a trace of gratitude on his face. Because he wasn't an arrogant person. Elder Huo was obviously concerned about him. If he felt disgusted, wouldn't it be repaying kindness with evil? Qin Feiyang would never do such a thing. He was a person who knew how to be grateful. If someone treated him well, he would repay it 100 times or 1,000 times. How about this? Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and looked at Elder Huo with a smile. Let me discuss with everyone first. Okay. Elder Huo nodded. Because this answer was already beyond his expectations. Discussing meant that there was a possibility. Then I'll leave first. Qin Feiyang asked. Go. Elder Huo waved his hand. Qin Feiyang smiled and entered the Black Tortoise realm. Then, he controlled the Black Tortoise realm and quickly left. He wasn't guarding against Elder Huo. Even with the token, he couldn't guard against Elder Huo. He was guarding against the Deputy Alliance leader. After all, he and Yi Tian had separated here. If Yi Tian went back and told the Deputy Alliance leader, he would probably be killed again. 1 hour later. The Black Tortoise realm landed in a canyon. The beasts here were so powerful that there were even half-step sovereigns. Qin Dage, father is looking for you. Zhuo Xiaoxian stood in Lunatic's courtyard and shouted at Qin Feiyang, who was in the sky. Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment and then smiled helplessly. The exposure of the ancient castle would definitely cause a huge uproar in the eastern continent. In the future, no matter where he went, he would become the center of attention. Zhuo Tiansheng must have sent him a message because of this. This was the so-called "a man fears fame while a pig fears fattening." Swoosh! Qin Feiyang landed beside Zhuo Xiaoxian and looked up. Not only Zhuo Tiansheng, but Elder Yu and the city lord were also there. What can I do for you? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. I wouldn't dare. The city lord hurriedly waved his hand and sighed. Who would have thought that a nameless little guy would have a sovereign divine weapon? You've really hidden it well. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. Zhuo Tiansheng was puzzled. If you have such a powerful trump card, why are you hiding it? You can't rely on the sovereign divine weapon for everything. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. That's true. Not only do you have a sovereign divine weapon, but you also control 2 types of law powers. Yet, you're so low-key. Your state of mind is admirable. The city lord smiled. Qin Feiyang was a little embarrassed when he heard this. The city lord's face turned serious. This message is actually the Deputy Alliance leader's idea. Deputy Alliance leader? Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. The city lord nodded. You didn't tell him about our relationship, did you? Qin Feiyang was surprised. No. You can rest assured about this. We're not that stupid. The city lord hurriedly waved his hand. That's good. Qin Feiyang sighed. The Deputy Alliance leader wants us to find a way to find you and tell you that he wants to talk to you. The city lord said. Talk about what? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Reconciliation. The city lord smiled. Reconciliation? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Maybe it's because he knows that you have a sovereign divine weapon and is afraid that you'll take revenge, so he wants to reconcile with you. Actually, this is a good thing. Because if you really reconcile, then Little Madman and Xiaoxian can be together openly. We don't have to worry about you all the time like thieves and contact you all the time. The city lord said. That's true. Qin Feiyang nodded. His eyes flickered. But, is he really trying to reconcile? Otherwise? The grudge between you and our rogue cultivator alliance is because of Wang Hui. Wang Hui is just a small character and is not important at all. So, the grudge between you all isn't that deep. The city lord said. Wang Hui is a small character, but what about Yi Yuan? You all have to be clear that Yi Yuan is his grandson. Senior brother Madman killed him. That's a blood feud. How can the deputy alliance leader let it go so easily? In any case, I don't believe it. Qin Feiyang shook his head. The city lord and the other two looked at each other and felt that it made sense. Let's talk about this later. Moreover, even if the deputy alliance leader doesn't come looking for me, I will take the initiative to look for him sooner or later. As for you all, don't bother about anything. This is also considered wise to protect yourself. Qin Feiyang reminded. All right. The three nodded. Chapter 3090. After the conversation, Zhuo Shaoxian put away the voice transmission stone and looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Dage, if the vice leader really reconciles with you, will you forgive him? Forgive? Qin Feiyang was startled. Why? Is there a problem with that? Zhuo Shaoxian was suspicious. No. I just feel that you're too naive. Because for this kind of thing, whether it's me or the vice leader, the word forgive is not suitable. Qin Feiyang shook his head. All right. Zhuo Shaoxian nodded. In fact, she really wanted Qin Feiyang to reconcile with the vice leader, because then she could return to the city lord's mansion and reunite with her family. We'll talk about it later. Qin Feiyang smiled and entered the ancient castle. He closed the stone door of the cultivation room and sat on the ground, focusing on comprehending the six-word technique. Although the fight with Yi Tian had caused such a huge commotion, he seemed to have a deeper understanding of the six-word technique. Therefore, he wanted to strike while the iron was hot and quickly figure out the hidden meaning of the six-word technique. A few days passed. A few days outside were thousands of years in the Black Tortoise world. Lunatic finally comprehended the third profound of the law of thunder. However, seeing that Qin Feiyang was in seclusion, he continued to cultivate. The last thing he wanted to see was Qin Feiyang surpassing him. Because there was already a slaughter zone that made him feel pressured. If Qin Feiyang also surpassed him in the law of thunder, what sense of existence would he have in the future? Don't say it. This kind of invisible competition between the two of them was really quite effective. Their strength was getting stronger day by day. Kanglan Snow Mountain. That evening. In a valley. Two figures stood opposite each other. The atmosphere was quite heavy. What do you mean? How dare you attack Tianer? The vice leader broke the silence, his face full of anger. Calm down. The one standing opposite the vice leader was still the mysterious black-robed man. How am I supposed to calm down? We were supposed to kill Qin Feiyang, but in the end, it was Qin Feiyang who saved Tianer's life. Isn't that funny? Most importantly, even so, you still haven't succeeded? Could it be that the people of the Blood Palace are all a bunch of good-for-nothings? The vice leader said angrily. I advise you to be more polite. The black-robed man's tone turned cold. What is it? You still want to kill me? The vice leader sneered. If you continue to insult the blood hall like this, I might as well kill you. The black-robed man said. Boom. The snake-shaped walking stick in the vice leader's hand suddenly released a terrifying aura. The surrounding glaciers immediately began to collapse. The void was also shattered into pieces. Seeing this, the black-robed man raised his eyebrows. Kill me? You don't understand the situation, do you? Right now, you are in the eastern continent and the Kanglan Snow Mountain. This is my territory. If there's anyone to kill, it should be me who kills you. The Vice Alliance Master's eyes flickered with a faint green light. He was like a poisonous snake, causing people's scalps to go numb. Fine, fine, fine. I'm afraid of you. Actually, attacking Yi Tian was also for your sake. The black-robed man waved his hand, as if admitting defeat. Are you trying to kill my grandson, or are you doing this for my sake? Do you think I'm stupid? The Vice Alliance Master became even angrier. That's really the case. Think about it. If we don't attack Yi Tian, what will the people from the Demon Hall think? They will think that Yi Tian is a bait that we arranged. At that time, the Demon Hall will begin to monitor you and your grandson. Is this a good thing for you? The black-robed man explained. The Vice Alliance Master was silent for a while before he said gloomily, even so, you can just put on an act. There's no need to kill him. Are the people from the Demon Hall stupid? Do you think we can fool them by putting on an act? Besides, doesn't Yi Tian control the spacetime law? It's definitely not a problem for him to escape. Speaking of this matter, you still have to give us an explanation because it was your grandson Yi Tian who activated the spacetime law and escaped with Qin Feiyang and the others. The black-robed man said angrily. I've already told you these days. I know. But asking me to give you an explanation is too ridiculous. Who doesn't know that Qin Feiyang also has someone who controls the spacetime law by his side? Even if Tian didn't make a move, you can't stop Qin Feiyang. At the end of the day, it's your blood hall that's too incompetent. The Vice Alliance Master had a mocking look on his face. The black-robed man clenched his fists tightly, making cracking sounds. Qin Feiyang's escape had already made him extremely angry. Now that he was being mocked by the Vice Alliance Master, he was undoubtedly even angrier. You don't have to look so murderous. It's okay to scare children, but it's still far from enough to scare me. Your blood hall is also unreliable. I'd better think of a way myself. The Vice Alliance Master snorted coldly. What way do you have? The black-robed man was stunned. This matter can only be solved with wisdom. Qin Feiyang still doesn't know that I'm related to your blood hall, so it's not too difficult to set a trap for Qin Feiyang. Just wait for my notice. After the Vice Alliance Master finished speaking, he turned around and left without looking back. The black-robed man looked at the Vice Alliance Master's back, his eyes flickering, then he turned around and quickly disappeared. Although the days passed, the story about Qin Feiyang became more and more interesting. After tea and meals, people were discussing it. The reason was none other than the castle, a sovereign divine weapon. A little guy in the initial immortal realm actually had a sovereign divine weapon? And it was a sovereign divine weapon that had never been heard of before. For the people of the Sky Cloud realm, this was simply a bombshell. Therefore, not only the Eastern continent, but the Western continent, Northern continent, and Southern continent also received this news. The giants of all parties expressed their disbelief. Moreover, they were secretly investigating Qin Feiyang's origin. Because such a person couldn't be just an ordinary person. However, besides the higher-ups of the Demon Hall and the Blood Hall, no one could find out Qin Feiyang's background. It was as if he had appeared out of thin air. Now I finally understand why these two guys don't want to be with us. They dislike us and are afraid that we will drag them down. Cloud Sea City, Tianyue Tower. In a secluded room, Yun Xiang shook his head and smiled bitterly. I don't think so. The Tower Master of Tianyue Tower shook her head. Why? Yun Xiang looked at her suspiciously. Think about it. When Qin Dage was attacked by two sovereign divine weapons, the giants of the Blood Hall also came to the Demon Hall. What does this mean? It means that these two sovereign divine weapons have a lot to do with the Blood Hall. In other words, the people who want to kill Qin Dage are probably from the Blood Hall. Being targeted by such a huge monster like the Blood Hall, Qin Dage and Brother Mo must be worried that we will be implicated, so they don't want to be with us. The Tower Master of Tianyue Tower said. From what you've said, they're doing this out of good intentions? Yun Xiang was stunned. Yes. If they are really with us, then we will definitely be hunted down by the Blood Hall. If this isn't good intentions, then what is? The Tianyue Tower Lord asked. All right. I'm the one who gauged the heart of a gentleman with the heart of a villain. Yun Xiang smiled bitterly. You can't say that. Brother Yun, you are also loyal. It's just that we don't know each other very well, so some unnecessary misunderstandings have occurred. The Tianyue Tower Lord smiled. You really know how to comfort people. Yun Xiang shook his head and smiled. Where's Miao Miao? Why don't I see her? I'm not sure. She seems to have something to do. The Tianyue Tower Lord shook his head. Yun Xiang nodded and smiled. Since she came to Tianyue Tower, she has been busy with the restaurant business. Let her have a good rest when she is free. Don't be so tired. Okay. The Tianyue Tower Lord nodded and smiled. There's one more thing. Have you considered expanding Tianyue Tower? Yun Xiang asked. Expanding? The Tianyue Tower Lord was stunned. Just like Mo Lu, spread across the entire eastern continent and even the Sky Cloud Realm. Become the largest restaurant in the Sky Cloud Realm. Yun Xiang said. Will this work? The Tianyue Tower Lord looked at Yun Xiang in shock. As long as you work hard, it will definitely work. Yun Xiang looked at her encouragingly. This, the Tianyue Tower Lord pondered for a while and shook his head. This is not child's play. I have to discuss it with Miao Miao. All right. No matter what, I'll support you. Yun Xiang smiled slightly. Time flew. Half a year passed. Not only had Wind Sea City been rebuilt, but it had also returned to its former prosperity. No. It was more lively than before. Because ever since the incident with Qin Feiyang, many people came to Wind Sea City to see if they had the chance to witness Qin Feiyang's glory with their own eyes. Of course. Among these people, there were spies from various forces. In short, the last place Qin Feiyang appeared at was the Wind Sea City, so everyone waited in the Wind Sea City. One day, Wind Sea City also welcomed the opening of Tianyue Tower. That's right. It was Tianyue Tower. But it didn't move from Cloud Sea City to Wind Sea City. It was a branch of Tianyue Tower. Obviously. In the end, the Tianyue Tower Lord accepted Yun Xiang's suggestion. Since he was going to do it, he would do it the best. At the same time, in the ancient castle, half a year had passed outside, and more than 100,000 years had passed in the Black Tortoise realm. On this day, Qin Feiyang finally opened his eyes, and they were filled with surprise. After all these years of pondering and comprehending, he finally understood the profundity of the six-word divine formula. Just as he thought, the six-word divine formula was formed from the profundity of the laws. The kill formula came from the law of slaughter. The movement formula came from the law of wind. The battle formula came from the law of war. The return formula came from the law of force. Returning one's opponent's strength to his opponent was the profundity of the law of force. Battle was also a type of law. It emphasized battle intent, spirit, and courage. The law of wind was naturally speed. Needless to say, the law of slaughter. After being with Madman for so long, Qin Feiyang had a certain understanding of the law of slaughter. In other words, as long as he grasped these four laws, Qin Feiyang would possess 7 laws. At that time, he would naturally possess the qualifications to step into the sovereign realm. Because a sovereign realm only needed to comprehend 6 laws. This made Qin Feiyang's heart burn with passion, and he continued his seclusion. Compared to imagining and comprehending, Qin Feiyang's current state was much simpler. This was because the kill, battle, advance, and return techniques were good references. To be more precise, the 6-word divine formula was equivalent to an inheritance. As long as he could figure out the profound meaning within, comprehending the power of the 4 great laws would be a matter of course. Year after year passed. The Black Tortoise world was still peaceful. It wasn't just Qin Feiyang and Madman, everyone was working hard. Every once in a while, someone would either break through or comprehend a law. Moreover, it wasn't just Qin Feiyang's group, the other beings of the Black Tortoise world were also getting stronger by the day. Boom! One day, the Black Tortoise world finally gave birth to 2 half-step undying experts. These 2 were undoubtedly Pai Lupi and Theta Wang. Chapter 3091. When Pai Lupi and Theta Wang entered the Black Tortoise world, they were already stronger than the creatures of the Black Tortoise world. Now, they were still managing the affairs of the Black Tortoise world with Big Black Wolf and Black Panther brothers. They could freely enter the Devil's Land and enjoy better resources than before. So, it was natural for the 2 of them to step into the Undying Realm. The breakthrough of the 2 also indicated a good sign, because soon, there would definitely be more people stepping into the Undying Realm. As for the power of law, Qin Feiyang didn't force the creatures of the Black Tortoise world. Because until the last moment, he would never let the creatures of the Black Tortoise world fight outside. As long as the creatures of the Black Tortoise world could live peacefully and not bring him trouble, he was already very satisfied. In the blink of an eye, more than 170 years had passed outside. Who knew how many years had passed in the Black Tortoise world? Under Qin Feiyang's hard work, not only did he comprehend the 3rd profound of the Law of Light, but he also successfully grasped 4 types of law power. Moreover, his cultivation had also stepped into the small success Undying Realm. It could be said that, in these years of seclusion, he had gained a lot. Now, he had grasped 7 types of law power. Among them, he had comprehended the 3rd profound of the Law of Light and the Law of Thunder. He had also comprehended the 2nd profound of the Law of Cause and Effect. Coupled with his minor Undying Realm cultivation, he was undoubtedly more confident in facing people below the Sovereign Realm in the future. Outside. Suddenly, there was a burst of laughter. Qin Feiyang got up and walked out of the cultivation room suspiciously. He saw Frenzy and White-Eyed Wolf sitting together in the hall, their faces full of smiles. Seeing Qin Feiyang walk out, the man and wolf couldn't help but be stunned, then said, "Come and sit for a while. Aren't you all in seclusion?" Qin Feiyang walked over and looked at them suspiciously. "It's not that I'm bored, so I came out to get some air," White-Eyed Wolf said with a smile. "Get some air?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said, "Looking at your expressions, you must have encountered something good. Tell me, what is it? Are you blind?" "I don't know. Let's see our cultivation." White-Eyed Wolf glared at him. Cultivation? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Looking at the man and the wolf, he suddenly understood. He smiled and said, "So you have also entered the small success imperishable realm." "Of course." The White-Eyed Wolf smiled proudly. Qin Feiyang pursed his lips and said, "That's not a big deal." "Of course it's not a big deal." Madman took over the topic and chuckled, "My gains from these years of seclusion, if I tell you, you'll be shocked. No, you'll be so shocked that you won't have any confidence in front of me in the future." "So exaggerated?" Qin Feiyang was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled expectantly and said, "Tell me about it. First of all, I've already comprehended the third profundity of another type of law that none of you know about." Madman said. It's not bad. Qin Feiyang nodded. In other words, the madman had already comprehended the third profundity of his 3 laws. That was indeed amazing. Secondly, through the battle's secret technique, I comprehended another type of law, the law of war. Madman smiled proudly. Qin Feiyang was stunned. How is it? Are you envious? I'm now a super genius who has grasped 4 types of law. Madman laughed proudly. Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. He asked, is that all? What? That's all? What do you mean by that? Isn't that scary enough? Madman frowned. Qin Feiyang was speechless. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and asked, what about you? Other than cultivation, what else did you gain? My gains are not something you can compare to. The white-eyed wolf shook his head leisurely. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was confused. Don't worry, you'll know in the future. The white-eyed wolf smiled mysteriously. Qin Feiyang couldn't wait to give him a slap. Madman also rolled his eyes at the white-eyed wolf. This guy only knows how to be mysterious. He then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, wait a minute, what's with your attitude just now? Could it be that your gains are greater than mine? It's better if you don't know. Qin Feiyang coughed dryly and said with a smile. What? Can you scare me, silly? Madman wasn't convinced. That's not the case. But it might be like what you said, scaring you so much that you won't have confidence in front of me in the future. Qin Feiyang grinned. How is that possible? Hurry up and say it. If you don't, I won't let you off. Madman said. You're the one who asked me to say it. Don't fall out with me when the time comes. Qin Feiyang looked at him mockingly. If you don't say it, I will fall out with you. Madman stared at Qin Feiyang fiercely. All right. I'll say it. For the law of light, I have comprehended the third profound. Qin Feiyang said. What else? Madman asked. Although I haven't comprehended the third profound, I can feel that I'm not far from it. Qin Feiyang said. That's it? Then you're still inferior to me. What are you so proud of? Madman sneered. I haven't finished yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and smiled. I have also comprehended the law of war through the battle symbol formula. Madman was stunned. Doesn't that mean that Qin Feiyang has also grasped 4 types of law? It's fine, although Qin Feiyang has also grasped 4 types of law, he hasn't comprehended the third profound, so he still has the upper hand. Madman comforted himself. Qin Feiyang continued, in addition, through the battle symbol formula, I have also comprehended the law of slaughter. What? Madman raised his head and stared at Qin Feiyang, his eyes full of shock. Since he has already comprehended the law of slaughter, doesn't that mean that he has grasped 5 types of law? White-eyed Wolf was also very surprised. This kid is really amazing. Mastering 5 types of law at the minor imperishable realm, if this were to spread out, who knows how many geniuses would be scared to death. In addition, I have also comprehended the law of force through the return symbol formula. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. And the law of force? Madman's eyes widened, and he suddenly felt terrible. This bastard has already grasped 6 types of law. The heavens were unfair. He had given him something as terrifying as the slaughter domain, and had even given him so much power of law. Why? It's okay. Qin Feiyang looked at Madman and asked with a smile. Madman braced himself and nodded, it's okay, it's okay. Qin Feiyang raised the corner of his mouth and said, I have also grasped the law of wind through the movement symbol formula. What? Madman suddenly stood up and glared at Qin Feiyang. What? I have a feud with you for killing my father? Qin Feiyang frowned. Yes, I have a feud with you for killing my father, I want to duel with you. Madman roared. 7 types. 7 types of law. How were they going to let him live? Although he had already comprehended the third profound of 3 of the 4 types of law, compared to Qin Feiyang's 7 types of law, it was on a completely different level. 6 types of law already had the qualifications to step into the great perfection sovereign realm, let alone 7 types. Looking at Madman's flustered and exasperated appearance, White-Eyed Wolf couldn't help but laugh at his misfortune. Laugh your ass. You don't even have 1 type of law, and you have the qualifications to laugh at me? Madman immediately glared fiercely. White-Eyed Wolf's expression stiffened, and he said angrily, "Do you believe that I won't take care of you right now? Come, I'm not afraid of you." Madman said angrily. The ingrate crossed his legs and looked like a second uncle. He shook his head and said, "Forget it, I won't argue with you." Madman's face turned black. "How is it? Are you shocked?" Qin Feiyang looked at Madman with a smile and asked. "What a joke, who do you think I am? How can such a small commotion affect me? Isn't it just 7 types of law? Just you wait, I'll surpass you in a minute." Madman said and turned to run towards the cultivation room. "What are you doing?" Qin Feiyang quickly asked. "Seclusion." Madman shouted without turning his head. Don't. Qin Feiyang quickly got up and pulled Madman with a smile, "There's something, let's discuss." "I'm not free." Madman shook off Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was speechless. "You're wrong, you forced me to say it." "Then you really told the truth?" Madman raged. "We are brothers, so of course I have to tell the truth. If I hide it from you, how can I be brothers?" Qin Feiyang smiled. "Wrong, I'm not your brother, I'm your senior granduncle." Madman said. "What?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "I'm from the same generation as Qin Batian. Since you call him ancestor, then you should call me senior granduncle. Is that wrong?" Madman looked at him in delight. He finally won back some ground. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Logically speaking, it was true. Because his ancestor was once a disciple of 9 Heaven Palace and was from the same generation as Madman. Even a kid knows how to respect the old. "Call me senior granduncle." Madman put his hands behind his back and looked at Qin Feiyang like he was an old school person. Scram! Qin Feiyang kicked him. What kind of person was this? Madman shouted angrily, "You even dare to hit your senior granduncle, aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at him and returned to his seat. "Yi Tian told me to tell you that he will be waiting for you at any time." Madman was slightly taken aback. As he walked towards Qin Feiyang, he asked, "Is he going to fight me?" "Yes. After all, you killed Yi Yuan." Qin Feiyang nodded. "That's because he deserved it. However, I don't know much about this Yi Tian. I only heard about him from Xiao Xian. What kind of person is he?" Madman was suspicious. "He's not bad and he's quite strong." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "It's rare to hear you praise someone, then I really have to meet him." Madman's interest was piqued and he asked, "This is what you want to discuss?" "No. 2 things. First, Elder Hua invited us to Demon Hall. Second, the Deputy Alliance leader wants to ask for peace." Qin Feiyang said. "Ask for peace?" Madman instantly frowned. "That's impossible, right? Would someone like him ask for peace? There must be something going on. I won't hide it from you." "I think so too." Qin Feiyang nodded. Chapter 3092. Then do you think we should reconcile with him? The Mad Wolf asked. Reconcile? That's impossible. This person wants to kill us so much, but he suddenly reconciles with us. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't seem right. I even suspect that this might be another conspiracy. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Why are there so many conspiracies all day long? You've already shown him the castle, what else does he dare to do? The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. That might not be the case. Some people are just too daring. Let's talk about it later. If it's really as we guessed and he's colluding with the Blood Hall, why would he be afraid of us with the 3 sovereign weapons? Qin Feiyang shook his head. The white-eyed wolf paused for a moment before nodding. That's true. So we can't be careless with this person. What I want to discuss with you is whether to go to the Demon Palace or not. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The Mad Wolf pondered for a moment before sighing. To be honest, entering the Demon Palace is only beneficial for us, but I'm still a little worried about their motives. The castle and the Black Tortoise world? The white-eyed wolf asked. That's right. What a joke. A sovereign weapon and an independent world, who wouldn't be tempted? If their motives are really impure, then when we enter the Demon Palace, we won't even know how we died. The Mad Wolf was a little worried. However, this old man Hua has always been kind and sincere in front of us. I can't see what his motives are. The white-eyed wolf frowned. If you can see through it, then how can he be called an old fox? Let's talk about it later. An old antique like him who has lived for countless years and is the overlord of the Eastern continent, what hasn't he experienced? If he deliberately tries to hide it, it's really hard for us to find out. The Mad Wolf sighed. Senior brother Mad Wolf is right. We don't know anything about the Demon Palace, so it's not wrong to be cautious. Then let's wait and see. If they really have evil intentions, sooner or later they won't be able to hold back and expose themselves. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment before smiling. That's right. Let's wait. Let's see how they react. Madman nodded. All right then. Qin Feiyang stood up and said with a smile, shall we go for a walk? Now that you've grasped the power of 7 laws, of course you're in the mood to stroll around. Madman rolled his eyes. Don't be like that. With your comprehension ability, isn't comprehending a type of law a matter of minutes? I'm not going there for a stroll. I want to take a look at the Azure Wave Snow Mountain. Qin Feiyang said. To the Azure Wave Snow Mountain? Madman was slightly taken aback. This was the headquarters of the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, how is it? Are you interested? Why didn't you say you were going to Mount Zhonglan earlier? Let's go now. These old fogies dare to go against us. If I don't wash the Rogue Cultivator Alliance with blood, I won't be called Madman Mo anymore. Madman chuckled. The so-called bloodbath was, of course, not to kill them all, but to rob the Rogue Cultivator Alliance of their resources. As the only superpower in the Eastern continent that was second only to the Demon Royal Halls, the Demon Royal Halls would definitely have countless resources. Big Brother will go too. Big Brother will go too. When the white-eyed wolf heard this, he was also excited. Qin Feiyang looked at the man and the wolf speechlessly. Why didn't he see them so enthusiastic when they encountered other things? However, Madman's suggestion was not bad. Anyway, the little brat was urging him to get some resources. 2 men and 1 wolf walked out of the castle. Qin Feiyang's eyes suddenly revealed a trace of surprise. What's wrong? Madman was suspicious. Are they all so fast? Qin Feiyang frowned. For example, Mu Tianyang, Zhao Tailai, Demon Ancestor, Blood Qilin, and the other beasts had basically stepped into the initial undead realm. Just kidding. They cultivate here every day, how can they not be fast? Big Brother also heard that Mu Tianyang, demon ancestor, Dong Zhengyang, Mu Qing, these bastards have already comprehended the power of law. The white-eyed wolf said. Qin Feiyang was taken aback for a moment and asked, "What law?" "I'm not sure. They are still mysterious and don't want others to know." The white-eyed wolf shook his head. "Let them be. Anyway, our relationship is still quite harmonious." Qin Feiyang smiled. "And, don't forget that Mu Tianyang still has a woman who hates you to the core." The white-eyed wolf said. "Woman?" Qin Feiyang was taken aback. "Guo Sueki." The white-eyed wolf reminded him. Qin Feiyang patted his head and shook his head. "If you didn't remind me, I really would have forgotten about this woman." Guo Sueki had always been by Mu Tianyang's side. Mu Tianyang once said that he wanted to train this woman. All these years, he had never seen this woman appear. She must have been hiding in Mu Tianyang's space treasure. In other words, this Guo Sueki was also enjoying the resources of the Black Tortoise realm, as well as the time array. Why don't we go and force Mu Tianyang to hand it over? The white-eyed wolf's eyes flashed with a cold light. "Forget it." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Although it was a potential threat, he believed that both Guo Sueki and Mu Tianyang understood the current situation. He was not sure about the future, but the two of them definitely did not dare to act rashly. Because the Black Tortoise realm was not only guarded by the two ancestors, but also 54 divine generals. They could not be presumptuous. Moreover, after all these years of cultivation, the 54 divine generals had almost comprehended the power of law. This force was completely enough to intimidate Mu Tianyang and Guo Sueki. Wait. Why are Xia Yuan and the others still at the greater imperishable realm? Qin Feiyang looked at the courtyard of the 54 divine generals. There was an aura in each courtyard, but they were all at the greater imperishable realm. He remembered that before the war with the dragons, they had already stepped into the greater imperishable realm. Nonsense. How long have we been in the Sky Cloud realm? It's only been 200 years. Look at us, from the initial imperishable realm to the greater imperishable realm, according to the time outside, it took more than 170 years. Even we need that long, let alone the greater imperishable realm to the great imperishable realm. Moreover, they have to take a lot of time to comprehend the power of law. I estimate that it will take a few hundred years for them to all step into the great imperishable realm. The madman said. A few hundred years? Then by that time, we will probably have broken through to the greater imperishable realm. The white-eyed wolf said. That's normal. The further you go, the longer it will take. Look at Theta Wang and Pai Lupi, they have already stepped into the half-step imperishable realm and are about to catch up with us. Even Long Tianyu, Qin Chen, and Wang Xiaojia have now stepped into the great perfection realm. The madman shook his head. Yes. Not just anyone, but Long Tianyu and the other two will catch up with us sooner or later. But the breakthrough of Theta Wang and Pai Lupi is really good news for the Black Tortoise realm. Everything is difficult at the beginning. As long as one person steps into the imperishable realm, there will be a second and a third. Qin Feiyang smiled. The white-eyed wolf and the madman nodded in agreement. Just like the power of law, it was the most difficult to comprehend it at the beginning. Unless it was like Qin Feiyang who comprehended the karma law, light law, and thunder law and entered a state of epiphany. But this kind of epiphany could only be encountered and not sought. Therefore, one had to rely on oneself to slowly comprehend it, which required a very long process. Take Qin Feiyang for example, even with the 6-word divine formula as a reference, it took him more than 100 years to comprehend the 4 great laws. If there was no reference, it would definitely take even longer. And more than 100 years outside, how many years would it take in the Black Tortoise realm? Therefore, the beginning of the past was difficult. After comprehending the power of laws, it would be easier for him to comprehend the profound divine ability later on. Because after you comprehended the power of law, you would already have some understanding of the profound meaning of the power of law. It was like planting a seed, and after it sprouted, it only needed to be watered and fertilized, and it would slowly grow. Wuxia City. More than 100 years had passed, and it was still bustling. Outside the city, two middle-aged burly men walked slowly towards the city gate with a large gray dog. It was Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf. Now that everyone knew that they had a sovereign weapon, they naturally couldn't just run into Wuxia City like this, otherwise it would definitely cause a commotion. When the two men and one wolf walked to the city gate, they found that the wanted posters on the city gate had been removed. And the people entering and leaving were no longer checked. The 4 city guards were so bored that they were dozing off. Are they really going to reconcile with us? The madman was surprised. Don't be fooled by the illusion. I believe in my premonition. Qin Feiyang glanced at the 4 city guards indifferently and entered the city. It's been more than 100 years, and Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo still haven't come out. Could it be that they have disappeared? Don't such big shots come and go without a trace? It's difficult to see their glory. As soon as they entered the city, the 2 men and 1 wolf heard a lot of discussions. Some were sitting in tea houses drinking tea, some were sitting in taverns drinking wine, and they began to talk when they had nothing to do. You have all become big shots. The white-eyed wolf laughed sinisterly. I want to be unknown, but my strength doesn't allow me to. The madman shook his head and sighed, looking as lonely as snow, which made the white-eyed wolf gnash his teeth in hatred. Go, go, go. Let's go to Heavenly Joy Pavilion. Not only do they have their signature wine, Immortal Intoxication, but also Heavenly Mountain Dew. If we're late, there won't be any left. After a while, several youths walked past the 2 men and 1 wolf, talking as they walked. Heavenly Joy Restaurant? Qin Feiyang and the madman were stunned. Wasn't this the restaurant of that woman? Why did Wuxia City have one as well? Let's go take a look. The madman thought. Qin Feiyang nodded. He still cared a lot about Yun Xiang. Not only was his talent outstanding, but he also had a terrifying killing intent protecting him. His identity was definitely not simple. The 2 men and 1 wolf followed the youths and soon arrived at the central area of Wuxia City. A luxurious restaurant stood on the side of the street. At the entrance, there was an endless stream of people entering and exiting, and the waiters of the restaurant were so busy that they were sweating profusely. Isn't this the young master of the Zhuo family? Please come in. Suddenly, a waiter ran to the side of a white-clothed youth, his face full of respect. Behind the white-clothed youth, there were 2 guards. These 2 guards were the guards of the city lord manor. What? The young master of the Zhuo family? Qin Feiyang and the madman were stunned and hurriedly looked at the white-clothed youth. Chapter 3093. This was a young man around 18 or 19 years old. He was about 1.8 meters tall and had a gentle and refined appearance. Moreover, his cultivation was only at the combat emperor level. Is there a private room inside? The young man seemed to be a little timid as he looked at the waiter and asked. I'm sorry, you came too late and didn't make a reservation. The private rooms are all full. If you don't mind, you can make do in the main hall. The waiter smiled flatteringly. Despite the waiter's flattery, the young man still looked a little timid. He waved his hand and said, I don't mind, I don't mind. Then please come in. The waiter hurriedly led the young man into the restaurant, and the 2 guards followed closely behind. What's going on? Frenzy was suspicious. How would I know? Qin Feiyang turned his gaze and looked at the black-clothed young man beside him. He asked suspiciously, "Brother, how many Zhuo families are there in Wuxia City?" The black-clothed young man was slightly stunned. He glared at Qin Feiyang and said speechlessly, "Aren't you talking nonsense? Of course, there's only one Zhuo family." "Vice City Lord Zhuo Tiansheng?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Yes." The black-clothed young man nodded. Qin Feiyang said in astonishment, "Then this young master of the Zhuo family, isn't he Zhuo Tiansheng's son?" "Yes. Otherwise, who is qualified to be called the young master of the Zhuo family?" The black-clothed young man nodded. "That can't be right. Why didn't I know that the Zhuo family has a young master?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Zhuo Tiansheng's son had already died in their hands, and he didn't hear Zhuo Xiaoxian mention that she had a younger brother. "You're not from Wuxia City?" The black-clothed young man looked at Qin Feiyang in a daze. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "To be honest, brother, we're from Wuxia City." "No wonder you don't know this young master of the Zhuo family." The black-clothed young man nodded and asked, "Then you guys are also here because of his reputation?" "Because of his reputation?" Qin Feiyang, Frenzy, and White-Eyed Wolf's eyes were filled with confusion. "It's Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo. You don't know, but right now, many people in the Wuxia City are here because of them. They want to see their elegant demeanor." The black-clothed young man said. Qin Feiyang and the other two, as well as the White-Eyed Wolf, were speechless. They had actually become famous. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, "Yes, yes, yes. We came because of your reputation." "Then don't hold too much hope. They haven't appeared since that battle more than 100 years ago. I reckon they have already left the Wuxia City." The black-clothed young man shook his head. "I see." Qin Feiyang revealed a look of disappointment, then said, "Then what's the matter with the Zhuo family's young master? Although I have never been to Fenghai City before, I have heard that the Zhuo family's heirs were all killed by Qin Feiyang and Madman Mo." "Indeed. However, more than 50 years ago, the Vice City Lord gave birth to another son, the young master of the Zhuo family." The black-clothed young man said. "I see." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. He was born more than 50 years ago, no wonder he was only a combat emperor. But the appearance of the Zhuo family's young master, for the Vice City Lord, I don't know whether it's a blessing or a curse. The black-clothed young man shook his head and sighed. "Why do you say that?" Qin Feiyang and the other two, as well as the White-Eyed Wolf, all had a look of confusion. "Because this young master is too weak, too afraid of trouble, a complete coward. Think about it, as the son of the Vice City Lord, with such a personality, how can he take on important responsibilities in the future?" The black-clothed young man said. Qin Feiyang and the other two, as well as the madman, nodded. "But it's strange. Look, the previous Vice City Lord's heirs were all arrogant and despotic, committing all kinds of crimes. But why would the son born this time have such a personality? You don't know, but some people are even privately discussing whether he is Zhuo Tiansheng's biological son or not." The black-clothed young man said in a low voice. "You can't say that. This is actually quite good, at least the people of Wuxia City won't be bullied like before." Qin Feiyang smiled. "That's true. Wuxia City is much more peaceful now than before." The black-clothed young man nodded. "So, everything has two sides. Alright, let's go in and have a few drinks, brother, do you want to join us?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. "No need, I'm just passing by." The black-clothed young man waved his hand and smiled, then turned and strode away. Qin Feiyang and the other two, as well as the White-Eyed Wolf, looked at each other, and also walked towards the restaurant. "Two masters, please come in." A waiter immediately came up to welcome them. "Is this emperor not a prince?" The white-eyed wolf suddenly frowned. The waiter was slightly stunned, and when he saw the cultivation of the white-eyed wolf, he couldn't see through it. He smiled and said, "Yes, yes, yes, 3 masters, please come in. That's more like it." The white-eyed wolf stood up and swaggered into the restaurant. Looking at his comical appearance, the waiters behind him couldn't help but snicker. 3 masters, there are no more private rooms, so I'll have to trouble you to make do in the hall. There's an empty table over there, please. The waiter leading the way pointed to an empty table in the corner and smiled. No need. Madman waved his hand and went straight to another table. It was the table where the Zhuo family's young master was sitting. He was alone, and 2 guards stood by his side, carefully protecting him. Don't go. Seeing this, the waiter hurriedly stopped them. At the same time, the 2 guards also looked at Madman, with a trace of vigilance in their eyes. It's just drinking, why are you so nervous? Madman casually walked to the table and sat across from the Zhuo family's young master. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other, then followed and sat at the side. Madman looked at the Zhuo family's young master and asked with a smile, "Young master, do you mind if we join?" This, the Zhuo family's young master stammered, not daring to look at the 2 guards and the white-eyed wolf. This personality really won't do. Madman mumbled. The 3 of you, our young master doesn't like to be with strangers, so please leave immediately. The 2 guards walked forward and spoke in a seemingly polite manner. I didn't ask you. Madman glanced at the guards before looking at the Zhuo family's young master. He revealed a smile that he thought was friendly. Do we look like bad people to you? We don't, so don't be afraid. The Zhuo family's young master looked around before looking at the 2 guards and nodding. All right, you guys can sit here. Young master, you can't. The 2 guards were anxious. It's fine. The Zhuo family's young master shook his head. The 2 guards looked at each other with a hint of helplessness in their eyes. They didn't chase Qin Feiyang and company away and returned to the Zhuo family's young master's side, carefully guarding against Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Looking at the waiter again. Although this young master was a little timid, but with his back there, how could a waiter like him dare to neglect him? Therefore, seeing that the Zhuo family's young master didn't object, the waiter heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. What do the 3 of you need? Wine, dishes, all the best, and quickly. Madman waved his hand generously. All right. The waiter nodded and turned to leave. Next. Madman didn't say anything else. He held his chin with both hands and sized up the Zhuo family's young master. This gaze made the Zhuo family's young master very uncomfortable. Seeing this, Qin Feiyang transmitted, "Senior brother, do you have any thoughts about your brother-in-law?" "Of course. How can my brother-in-law be such a timid person? Isn't this embarrassing me?" Madman thought. "Then what do you want to do?" Qin Feiyang wanted to laugh. Madman rubbed his chin and pondered. The white-eyed wolf glanced at the Zhuo family's young master and teased, "Little fellow, if you're so timid, why did you come to the restaurant to play?" The Zhuo family's young master shrunk his neck and muttered with grievance, "I didn't want to, but father forced me to come." "What the hell? Zhuo Tiansheng forced you to come to the restaurant? What the hell?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. "Please show some respect to the Vice City Lord and don't call him by his name." One of the guards immediately looked at the white-eyed wolf and frowned. "Isn't a name meant to be called? If not, then what's the name?" The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips. The guard's gaze turned cold. Don't be offended, this damn dog is like this," shooting his mouth off. Qin Feiyang quickly waved his hand and said with an apologetic smile, "You're the damn dog, your whole family are damn dogs." The white-eyed wolf immediately glared at Qin Feiyang. "You can scold me, but don't scold my family. Besides, you're also my family, so you're scolding yourself. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. That's true. Yes, I'm scolding you, damn dog. The white-eyed wolf cursed again and again. Qin Feiyang was speechless. Madman finally opened his mouth and asked the Zhuo family's young master, "What's your name?" The Zhuo family's young master was stunned and quickly said, "My name is Zhuo Xiaocheng, mature and steady." Is that so? It seems that your father hoped that you wouldn't be arrogant and domineering like your brother, and be a mature and steady person, but he didn't expect you to be so timid. Your father probably forced you to come to the restaurant because he wanted to train your courage in a crowded place. Madman said. The two guards looked at each other, and a hint of surprise flashed in their eyes. Looking at the reaction of the two, Madman was sure that Zhuo Xiaocheng was really here to train his courage. Hearing this, Zhuo Xiaocheng hurriedly said, "I'm not timid, I just don't like to interact with people, especially in this kind of noisy place." If this isn't timid, then what is? Madman shook his head. Zhuo Xiaocheng seemed to be unconvinced, but he didn't dare to argue with Madman, so he lowered his head in silence. The wine and dishes are here. At this time, the waiter ran over with 5 or 6 dishes and 6 jugs of wine. 3 jugs of immortal drunken wine, 3 jugs of heavenly Mountain Dew. Looking at the heavenly Mountain Dew, Madman's face revealed a trace of fear. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at him in confusion. There won't be any spirit-breaking powder in here, right? Madman sent a sound transmission. The corner of the man and the wolf's mouth twitched. Last time when the city lord plotted against them, he used this heavenly Mountain Dew. Therefore, Madman now had some side effects. However, a fearless madman was actually afraid of the poison in the wine. If this got out, people would laugh their teeth off. Wait. The power of evil can cure hundreds of poisons, what is Lousy afraid of? Madman patted his head again, held the wine jug, and gulped it down. The white-eyed wolf also couldn't wait to taste the wine jug. It was also a guy who loved wine, but it wasn't to the extent of being crazy like the 5-clawed golden dragon and Hua Yi. Chapter 3094. Awesome! Madman laughed loudly. Isn't it just drinking? What's so good about it? Zhuo Xiaocheng looked at him in confusion. You don't understand. Madman shook his head. How could this feeling of being immune to poison not feel good? Everyone, please be quiet. Suddenly, a round fatso weighing 200 pounds walked out from a room on the second floor. Qin Feiyang looked up with a trace of suspicion in his eyes. I am the manager of Wind Sea City's Tianyue restaurant. Thank you for your support over the years. Today, all the dishes are on the menu, so please eat and drink to your heart's content. The manager smiled. Really? Someone asked with joy. Of course it's true. The manager nodded and said with a smile, and our tower master specially came from Cloud Sea City to play a song for everyone. Thank you for your help and encouragement to our Tianyue restaurant. Tower master? Everyone was stunned for a moment, and then many people revealed admiration in their eyes. Ding dong. At that moment, a string of zither music sounded in the room behind the manager, and the lingering sound was intoxicating. Old Qin, it seems to be that woman. Madman transmitted his voice. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. They had heard the zither music of the Tianyue restaurant's tower master in Wind City, so it was easy to distinguish. Then do you think Yun Xiang has it? Madman transmitted his voice. I don't know. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then let's go and take a look. Madman sneered, got up, took a step forward, and instantly landed beside the manager on the second floor. The manager was slightly stunned, and before he could react, Madman kicked the door open, and the zither music stopped abruptly. What is he doing? So rude. The person who was intoxicated by the zither music immediately glared at Madman standing at the door. The manager's expression changed slightly, and he hurriedly went forward. Brother, what are you doing? It has nothing to do with you. Madman glanced at him and stepped into the room. He saw a woman in white standing in the room, playing the zither with both hands. At this moment, she was also looking at Madman in astonishment. Madman glanced at the woman, and then at the entire room. Other than women, there was no one else. Tower Master, the steward followed in as well, his face filled with anxiety. I'm fine. The Tower Lord of Heavenly Joy Tower waved his hand. Then, he looked at Madman and frowned. You are too rude. Manners? The Madman smiled in disdain and said, You're alone? Yun Xiang didn't come with you? The Tower Master of Heavenly Joy Tower was stunned. Because the Madman had changed his appearance, she couldn't recognize him. Your Tianyue Tower is not bad. You even opened a branch in the Wind Sea City. The Madman stepped in front of the woman and their faces were just inches apart. He grinned and said, Did you pay me a protection fee? Protection fee? The woman was stunned. That's right. If you don't pay me protection fees, do you still want to operate here? Madman chuckled. Ugh. The woman was speechless. But then, she looked at the Madman in surprise. Wasn't this someone's catchphrase? Could it be, what? Looking at me like this, could it be that you have taken a fancy to my peerless appearance? The Madman smiled in ridicule. The woman was slightly taken aback. She quickly got up and her cheeks turned red. Only then did she notice that she was too close to the Madman. Their faces were completely touching. But I'm sorry, I'm already taken. I won't take a fancy to you. The Madman chuckled. Shameless. The woman sneered. Duh, at this time. A group of men ran over fiercely. The Madman turned his head and said playfully, What? You still want to fight? Seeing this, the woman's face changed slightly. She quickly waved to the steward and the group of men beside her and said, You guys go out first. If it was really that Madman, he might tear down her Tianyue Tower. But he, the steward, looked at the Madman. It's fine. The woman shook her head. All right. The steward nodded and left the room with a group of men. He closed the door. What's the situation? He's still staying inside? What's their relationship? Everyone's face was full of suspicion. They couldn't help but look at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Because they all knew that Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf were together with the Madman. Inside the room, the woman sized up the Madman and asked, You are Brother Mo? Besides me, who else would be so arrogant? The Madman smiled proudly. The woman immediately smiled bitterly. It was really this person. The Madman glanced around and said, You guys are really capable. Not bad. The woman nodded. How many branches does the Tianyue Tower have now? The Madman was curious. The woman thought seriously and said, There are more than a dozen big and small. After all, more than 170 years had passed. With the ability of Yun Xiang and these two women, it wasn't strange for them to have more than a dozen branches. So many? The Madman was stunned. Is it a lot? We are still far from our goal. The woman shook her head. What goal? The Madman was suspicious. Let the Tianyue Tower spread throughout the eastern continent and even the entire Sky Cloud realm. The woman said proudly. The Madman looked at her in astonishment. What? Do you think I don't have such ability? The woman looked at the madman's reaction and frowned. No, no, no. I just didn't expect that a woman like you would have such ambition. The madman shook his head. I'm just opening a restaurant. It's not like I'm trying to build a force. This can't be called ambition. The woman was speechless. Fine. I don't have time to chat with you. Is Yun Xiang here? The madman frowned. Brother Mo, this is a misunderstanding. Brother Yun is really a good person. You have to believe me. The woman hurriedly explained. Whether he is a good person or not, I know. The madman snorted. The woman sighed helplessly and shook her head. To be honest, Brother Mo, Brother Yun left 10 years ago. Left? The madman was stunned. Yes. He didn't say where he was going? The woman said. Why did he leave? The madman frowned. I'm not sure. Actually, I don't know much about Brother Yun. I only know that he is a good person. Because all these years, if not for his help, my Tianhua building wouldn't have developed so quickly. The most important thing is that he helped us so much without asking for anything in return. The woman said. The madman said in surprise, You have been with him for so many years, but you still don't know him? The woman nodded. Interesting. The madman smiled in ridicule. What's interesting? The woman had a suspicious look. You have been together for so long, but you still don't know him. Isn't this interesting? The madman's face was full of playfulness. Calculating the time, Yun Xiang and this woman had been together for more than 200 years. After more than 200 years, no matter what, they should know each other. But this woman said that she didn't know him. What did this mean? It meant that Yun Xiang had concealed it well. The woman looked at him in confusion. All right, continue. The madman waved his hand and turned to leave. Are you leaving just like that? The woman hurriedly said. What else? Stay and treat me to a drink? The madman said without turning his head back. Sure. Heavenly Joy Pavilion has collected a lot of divine wine over the years. Last time, you and Qin Dage helped me in Wind City, but I didn't have the chance to thank you. The woman said. The madman stopped and turned to look at the woman, asking, Is there poison in your wine? The woman was stunned. Just kidding, just kidding. The madman laughed, opened the door, and strode out. How infuriating. The woman stomped her feet angrily and walked to the door to take a look. Seeing the madman sitting beside Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf, she immediately knew the identity of Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Pavilion Master, are you all right? The manager walked to the woman's side and asked with concern. I'm fine. The woman waved her hand, took out 3 jars of wine, and handed them to the manager. She pointed at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf and said, Send it to them. You're sending wine to them? And it's your precious divine wine? The manager frowned. Just do as I say. After the woman said that, she closed the door and the sound of the zither rang out. More than a dozen branches are so powerful. After Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf heard the madman's voice transmission, there was a trace of surprise on their faces. She said it herself, how can it be fake? The madman secretly said. You're quite capable. Qin Feiyang secretly smiled. This is a small matter. I'm just wondering who this Yun Xiang is. Look, whether it's him, us, or this woman from Heavenly Joy Pavilion, we all met in Wind City. But this person is interesting, helping a woman he just met. Don't say, even I think he's a good person. The madman transmitted. As long as we figure out his identity and origin, we will naturally know whether he's a good person or a hypocrite. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. How do we investigate? The madman was suspicious. Your father-in-law controls such a big city. Is it difficult to ask him to help investigate a person? Qin Feiyang said. Yes. The madman patted his head. At this time, the manager walked over and said with a flattering smile, "The three of you, this is the divine wine from the Tower Master, please accept it." Divine wine? The two men and one wolf were slightly stunned. The people around immediately looked at them with envy. They also felt a little strange. They directly kicked the door open without reporting. Such a rude action, they thought it would anger the Tower Master of Heavenly Joy Pavilion, but they didn't expect him to give them wine instead. What's going on? Do you want it? The madman looked at Qin Feiyang. Divine wine, of course I want it. The white-eyed wolf held a wine jar and waved his paw. The lid of the wine jar opened and a rich wine fragrance suddenly floated out. What wine is this? It's so fragrant. The madman's eyes suddenly lit up. The faces of the surrounding guests were also filled with shock. The rich aroma of wine instantly wafted through the entire restaurant, causing everyone to salivate uncontrollably. Even the steward at the side had a look of shock on his face. This seems to be immortal wine. Suddenly, Zhuo Xiaocheng, who was sitting opposite, muttered. Immortal wine? The two guards were stunned. Qin Feiyang also looked at Zhuo Xiaocheng in confusion and asked, "What immortal wine?" "Its name is immortal wine. Once, when my father entertained a guest, he took out a small jar. I heard it was very precious." Zhuo Xiaocheng said timidly. Chapter 3095. Immortal wine? Frenzy and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other, as if it was very amazing. So, one man and one wolf held a jar and drank a big mouthful. At that moment, they began to feel elated. This taste was really something they had never tasted before. Frenzy handed the wine jar to Qin Feiyang and said, "You want to try it too? It's really not bad." "No need." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. "Forget it if you don't want it." Frenzy raised his head and drank again. "What a waste, what a waste." A young man dressed in gold and silver shook his head. "Fatso. What's wrong? You also know about immortal wine?" Someone looked at him. "I once had the honor of drinking a small cup. That taste is really amazing. It can be said that this immortal wine is the best wine I have ever tasted in my life." The young man Fatso smacked his lips, looking as if he was savoring the aftertaste. "Is it really that amazing?" Many people expressed their puzzlement. "I really don't know about immortal wine." The restaurant manager shook his head. He didn't expect that the building master would actually give the three of them 3 jars of immortal wine. "Quickly tell us about it," someone urged. "This immortal wine, I once had the honor of tasting it for a while. It is truly a peerless divine wine. Anyone who likes to drink, as long as they try it once, even if it is also a divine wine, they won't be interested in it in the future." The manager said. "Is it that exaggerated?" Everyone was in disbelief. "It's not exaggerated at all. You may not have heard of immortal wine, but there is one person you all definitely know." The manager smiled. "Who?" Everyone was suspicious. "Wine immortal." The manager said word by word. "Wine immortal." Everyone's eyes trembled. This immortal wine was personally brewed by Wine Immortal. A jar of such immortal wine is priceless. The manager said. So it was brewed by Wine Immortal. No wonder immortal wine can be called a peerless divine wine. Everyone suddenly realized. Who is Wine Immortal? Frenzy suddenly asked. What? You don't even know Wine Immortal? Everyone looked at Madman in astonishment. Is he famous? Madman was suspicious. Of course. Not to mention our eastern continent, even in the entire sky cloud realm, who doesn't know about the existence of the wine immortal? It is said that this wine immortal not only loves wine, but also likes to brew wine. Furthermore, the wine he brews is at the very least divine wine. In our sky cloud realm, there is a saying that no one knows wine better than Xiaofan, and no one knows how to brew wine better than Xiaofan. He is the number one person in the sky cloud realm. Everyone was talking at once, as if the ignorance of a lunatic had provoked public anger. I see. Madman nodded. Legend has it that this immortal wine is the wine immortal's proudest creation. Most people would not be able to buy it, let alone take out 3 jars as gifts. Looks like your Heavenly Joy Tower's tower master is no ordinary person. The young fatty wearing gold and silver said with a smile. You flatter me. The steward hurriedly cupped his hands and smiled. He was only a steward, so he didn't know the identity of the tower master. But the speaker had no intention, while the listener had the heart. Qin Feiyang, Madman, and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other, a glint flashing in their eyes at the same time. This jar is mine. Madman suddenly stretched out his hand and hugged the remaining jar of immortal wine as he looked at the white-eyed wolf. Don't give me that. The white-eyed wolf immediately prepared to snatch it. But at this moment, Qin Feiyang moved and snatched the jar from Madman's hand. What are you doing? A man and a wolf glared at him. Don't be greedy. This wine is for little gold. After Qin Feiyang said that, he sent the jar to the Black Tortoise realm. Since it was a peerless divine wine, he naturally couldn't forget the 5-clawed golden dragon. A man and a wolf pouted. Okay, let's go. Qin Feiyang stood up and opened an altar. Where are we going? Madman and the white-eyed wolf looked at him suspiciously. To see your father-in-law. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes at Madman. The city lord's mansion. In front of a large hall. 2 men and a wolf appeared out of thin air. Who is it? There were 6 guards outside the hall. As soon as they saw the 2 men and the wolf, they immediately shouted. Zhuo Tiansheng, come out. The ingrate ignored them and continued to yell at them. How dare you call the Lord by his name? The 6 guards immediately rushed up and surrounded the 2 men and the wolf. That again? I'm confused. If you don't want people to call him that, then don't give him a name. The white-eyed wolf drank the immortal wine while looking at the guards, his face full of displeasure. You're courting death. The 6 people rushed up. These guards' cultivation wasn't bad, half-step imperishable realm. But in front of the white-eyed wolf, it was definitely not enough. Because the white-eyed wolf had already reached initial success imperishable realm. After a few punches and kicks, the 6 people were lying on the ground and howling. What's going on? Suddenly, 2 figures flew over from afar, their faces dark. It was Zhuo Tiansheng and Elder Yu. Lord, they trespassed the city lord's mansion and injured us. The 6 guards hurriedly got up and ran to Zhuo Tiansheng, shouting angrily. Who are you? Zhuo Tiansheng glanced at the 2 men and the wolf. Guess. The white-eyed wolf grinned. Not interested. Zhuo Tiansheng's eyes flashed coldly. Lord, don't be rash. Look at the wine they're drinking. It seems to be immortal wine. Elder Yu said telepathically. Zhuo Tiansheng was startled and hurriedly looked at the wine in the hands of the madman and the white-eyed wolf. Smelling the wine, it really was immortal wine. Qin Feiyang pointed at the hall and smiled. Let's go in and talk. Okay. Zhuo Tiansheng looked deeply at Qin Feiyang and walked into the hall with Elder Yu. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf also followed in. The 6 guards also prepared to follow in, but the madman closed the door, making the 6 of them hit the door. Who the hell are you? Zhuo Tiansheng turned around and looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf with an unfriendly gaze. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and smiled. They took out a facial restoration pill and threw it into their mouths. Soon, they recovered their true appearance. It's you? Zhuo Tiansheng and Elder Yu looked at them in shock. The white-eyed wolf joked, otherwise, who would have the guts to break into your city lord's mansion? Zhuo Tiansheng and the madman couldn't help but smile bitterly. Yes. Other than these guys, who would dare to be so presumptuous? But why did you come to the city lord's mansion? What if someone finds out? Elder Yu frowned. Didn't the vice leader want to reconcile? It doesn't matter if someone finds out. The madman said. You can't say that. Although the vice leader has the intention to reconcile, our relationship can't be known to others. Elder Yu shook his head. Okay, let's not talk about this. You definitely don't come to the Three Treasures Palace for no reason. Say it. Zhuo Tiansheng smiled faintly. There is indeed a little matter. Help us investigate Yun Xiang. Qin Feiyang said. Yun Xiang? Zhuo Tiansheng was stunned. Yes, you also saw with your own eyes that he had a wisp of murderous intent protecting him. This murderous intent is very strong, so I guess his identity shouldn't be simple. Qin Feiyang said. It seems that you guys are really not familiar with him. But I have already investigated this person. Zhuo Tiansheng said. How is it? Qin Feiyang asked. Like you guys, very mysterious. Zhuo Tiansheng shook his head. When the two men and one wolf heard this, a flash of light flashed in their eyes. Zhuo Tiansheng suddenly glanced at the wine jars in the hands of the madman and the white-eyed wolf and asked, Where did you guys get this immortal wine? The Tianyue Tower's lord gave it to us. The white-eyed wolf said. What? She actually has immortal wine and gave away 3 jars at once? You have to know that even I can't get so many jars of immortal wine. In the past, I was only able to drink some because of the city lord. Zhuo Tiansheng was shocked. According to what you said, this Tianyue Tower's lord doesn't seem to be simple? Qin Feiyang was surprised. You can't say that. After all, she's in this line of work, and her network is different from ours. Zhuo Tiansheng shook his head. All right then, I'll trouble you a bit more. Help us investigate this Yun Xiang, and at the same time, investigate the owner of Tianyue Tower as well. Qin Feiyang said. That's not a problem. Zhuo Tiansheng nodded and asked, How is Xiao Xian? Pretty good. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. Zhuo Tiansheng breathed a sigh of relief, then looked at the madman and said, Take good care of her. If you dare to bully her, I won't let you off. Yes, yes, yes. The madman nodded repeatedly. From the moment he saw Zhuo Tiansheng, he felt a little uncomfortable. Although he was not afraid of anything, he was still quite honest in front of his father-in-law. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, There's one more thing. Give us the coordinates of the Kanglan Snow Mountain. What? You want to go to the Kanglan Snow Mountain? Zhuo Tiansheng and Elder Yu looked at them in surprise. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, We're just going to take a look, nothing else. Do we look like idiots to you? Zhuo Tiansheng rolled his eyes. With these people's personalities, how could they not have any thoughts if they took the initiative to go to the Kanglan Snow Mountain? After pondering for a while, Zhuo Tiansheng shook his head and sighed. Even if I don't give you the coordinates, you'll find someone else. I might as well tell you directly, but don't act recklessly. After all, that's the base of our rogue cultivator alliance. The experts hidden there are beyond your imagination. How strong? The madman was curious. Let's not talk about the alliance capital first. Let's talk about the glacier outside the Alliance capital. Without permission, even with my cultivation, I won't be able to pass through the glacier alive. Zhuo Tiansheng said in a deep voice. So terrifying? The 2 men and 1 wolf were shocked. Zhuo Tiansheng was a high-level dominator. Zhuo Tiansheng said, in short, with your cultivation, going to the Alliance capital is courting death. Sir, have you forgotten that they have a dominator divine weapon? Elder Yu reminded in a low voice. Zhuo Tiansheng was stunned. He had really forgotten about this. If they had a dominator divine weapon, then it was fine. It was very straightforward. He directly gave the coordinates to Qin Feiyang one by one. The Kanglan Snow Mountain was in the far west of the eastern continent, and Wind Sea City was in the east. To go to the Kanglan Snow Mountain, they had to cross the eastern continent, so they needed a lot of coordinates. Qin Feiyang memorized them one by one. Next, they chatted for a while, and the 2 men and 1 wolf were about to activate the teleportation altar to leave. But at this time, there was a sudden violent knock on the door. Sir, not good, the young master has been kidnapped. An anxious voice sounded from outside the door. What? Zhuo Tiansheng and Elder Yu's expressions changed. Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf looked at each other and couldn't help but frown. Because the owner of this voice was one of the 2 guards following Zhuo Xiaocheng. Chapter 3096. Zhuo Tiansheng came back to his senses and immediately walked toward the door. Qin Feiyang, Luo Tiansheng, and the white-eyed wolf also quickly returned to their original appearances. When the door opened, they saw the guard standing at the door, covered in blood. What happened? Zhuo Tiansheng said in a low voice. The guard was about to speak when he saw Qin Feiyang, Luo Tiansheng, and the white-eyed wolf. He asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and asked, "Who kidnapped Zhuo Xiaocheng?" "I don't know. Not long after you left Tianyue Tower, a middle-aged man came and attacked us. His cultivation was very strong, at least half-step dominator. Zhang Yuan was killed on the spot, and I fainted on the spot. It was the Tower Lord of Tianyue Tower who gave me a healing pill to quickly wake me up. When I woke up, they told me that the young master had been taken away by him." The guard said in a trembling voice. He was definitely worried that Zhuo Tiansheng would punish him. Because Zhuo Tiansheng only had 1 son. Although he was a little cowardly, he treated him like a treasure. "Then where did they go?" Luo Tiansheng asked. "I don't know." The guard shook his head and then knelt on the ground. He looked at Zhuo Tiansheng and begged, "I'm sorry, I didn't protect the young master. Please have mercy." "Mercy?" Zhuo Tiansheng was full of hostility and immediately slapped at the guard. But suddenly, Qin Feiyang reached out and grabbed Zhuo Tiansheng's wrist. He shook his head and said, "The other party is at least half-step dominator. He can't do anything." But, Zhuo Tiansheng frowned. "I know you're worried about Zhuo Xiaocheng, but killing him won't do anything to save him. Moreover, he came back to report to you after such a big thing happened. It means that he's loyal to you. It's your loss to kill him now," Qin Feiyang said. Zhuo Tiansheng pondered for a while and then put down his arm. He looked at the guard and said, "Go back and recover." "Thank you, Lord." "Thank you, brother." The guard looked gratefully at Zhuo Tiansheng and Qin Feiyang, then turned and left. Zhuo Tiansheng looked at the 6 guards outside and shouted, "You guys." "Yes." The 6 stepped forward. "Send down the order immediately. Everyone in the city lord's mansion is to go out and search for him. Also, call the tower master of Tianyue Tower here. If she doesn't obey, kill her," shouted Zhuo Tiansheng. "Yes." The 6 of them responded respectfully and immediately turned around and ran away. Little Cheng's character is naturally cowardly. He doesn't even know how to scold people, let alone make enemies. How could this happen? Elder frowned. Do you still need to think about it? This matter is obviously directed at me. Zhuo Tiansheng coldly snorted. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf. Why are you looking at us? You're not suspecting us, are you? Madman raised an eyebrow. Zhuo Tiansheng was slightly stunned and smiled bitterly. If it was before, I would have doubted you. But now, you and Xiao Xian have such a relationship. How can I doubt you? That's more like it. Madman said. I think you want to ask, have you met with Xiao Cheng? Zhuo Tiansheng said. Yes. We went to Tianyue building and happened to meet him. We even chatted with him. Madman nodded. Zhuo Tiansheng asked, what do you think of Xiao Cheng? Madman said, didn't Elder you just say that he's cowardly? Yes. I really don't know why those sons of mine were all so arrogant and despotic in the past. Why is this one like this? Not to mention outsiders, even I sometimes can't help but wonder if he's my biological son. Zhuo Tiansheng shook his head with a sad face. The white-eyed wolf asked, have you verified that he's your biological son? Ahem. Zhuo Tiansheng coughed dryly and said speechlessly, you really asked that? After saying that, he looked outside and said in a low voice, I secretly verified that he's my biological son. Qin Feiyang said with a smile, that's probably because of his mother. Is his mother's personality the same? His mother? His mother is more quiet, but she's not afraid of trouble. In any case, he doesn't look like anyone. After Zhuo Tiansheng said that, he added, by the way, his mother is Xiao Xian's mother. They're real siblings. I see. According to Xiao Xian's personality, he shouldn't be so timid. Maybe it's his nature. It's hard to say. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. I think so too. In order to change him, I asked my subordinates to bring him to a crowded place like Tianyue building. I didn't expect that something like this would happen. You're right. It's not the guard's fault. I'm the one who harmed him. Zhuo Tiansheng sighed. Don't worry. As far as I know, Zhuo Xiaocheng's life is not in danger for the time being. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Why do you think so? Zhuo Tiansheng was suspicious. Think about it. If he really wanted to kill Zhuo Xiaocheng, why didn't he kill him in Tianyue building? Why did he go through so much trouble to kidnap him? Qin Feiyang said. You mean, he wants to use Xiaocheng as a bargaining chip to blackmail me? Zhuo Tiansheng frowned. That should be the case. So before he achieves his goal, Zhuo Xiaocheng should be safe. Even if we look for him now, we probably won't be able to find him. Let's wait for him to contact us. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Zhuo Tiansheng asked, then should I call the guards of the city lord mansion back? That's not necessary. Let them continue to look for him. This way, they can see how much you care about your son. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. That makes sense. If we don't look for him, he may think that you don't care about Xiaocheng's life and death. Maybe he will kill him directly. Anyway, he has no value. Old Yu nodded. Sigh. Look at my head, I'm about to faint. Zhuo Tiansheng rubbed his forehead. Usually, he wouldn't ignore such details. Frenzy asked, do you want Xiao Xian to come out and comfort you? No, no, no. Xiao Xian is kind-hearted. If she knows that her brother has been kidnapped, she will be more anxious than me. Besides, I haven't told her that she has a brother now. Zhuo Tiansheng hurriedly waved his hand. Sir, the person has been brought. At this moment. A guard led the owner of Tianyue building into the main hall from the outside. Seeing that Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf were also there, the owner of Tianyue building was taken aback. She immediately bowed and said, "Greetings, Deputy City Lord. My son was kidnapped in your Tianyue building. Shouldn't you give me an explanation?" Zhuo Tiansheng said in a deep voice. Tianyue building is indeed responsible for this matter. At that time, I also sent people to secretly follow them. But when my people followed them outside the city, they lost them because that person's speed was too fast. Now, they are also assisting the city lord mansion's guards in the search. The owner of Tianyue building said. Zhuo Tiansheng said in a deep voice, "Cheng or better be fine. Otherwise, I'll hold you responsible. Good people will be rewarded. Besides, aren't they here now?" The owner of Tianyue building looked at Qin Feiyang and White-Eyed Wolf and smiled. Zhuo Tiansheng frowned. Could it be that she knew the identity of Qin Feiyang and the others? Qin Feiyang smiled and asked, "What does that person look like?" The owner of Tianyue building waved her hand and the phantom of a middle-aged man appeared. Qin Feiyang looked up and didn't recognize him at all. Zhuo Tiansheng and Old Yu looked up and had no impression of the middle-aged man either. Kidnapping the son of the deputy city lord is no small matter. I think this person must have changed his appearance in advance. The owner of Tianyue building speculated. No matter who he is, don't let me find him. Zhuo Tiansheng's eyes flashed with a strong murderous intent. At the same time, deep in the mountains. Swish! A middle-aged man and a young man descended on the top of a mountain. The young man was Zhuo Xiaocheng. The middle-aged man looked around vigilantly and landed on the top of the mountain. He looked at a cave next to him and said, "Come out." As his voice fell, a young man walked out of the cave. "I've brought him to you." The middle-aged man threw Zhuo Xiaocheng at the young man's feet. The young man looked down at Zhuo Xiaocheng, his eyes flashing with undisguised murderous intent. He looked up at the middle-aged man and asked, "No one followed us, right?" "Don't worry. I'll be very careful." The middle-aged man smiled reassuringly and then asked, "Then what do you plan to do with him now?" The young man looked down at Zhuo Xiaocheng again and said nothing. Zhuo Xiaocheng was very flustered at this moment. His face was pale and he curled up like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. I didn't expect the son of Zhuo Tiansheng to be so timid. The young man shook his head, his face full of ridicule. "Who are you? Why did you kidnap me?" Zhuo Xiaocheng plucked up his courage and looked at the two of them. "Why?" The young man's face immediately became ferocious and roared, "Because your father is a scum. I won't allow you to say that about my father." Zhuo Xiaocheng roared. "Huh, you don't think your father is a good man, do you?" The young man laughed. Zhuo Xiaocheng lowered his head. Although Zhuo Tiansheng had always been a good father in front of him, he also knew about the gossip about Zhuo Tiansheng outside. In the outside world, his father was a cruel and merciless person. "What? Nothing to say?" The young man sneered. Zhuo Xiaocheng said, "You can say my father is ruthless, but you can't insult him. I will scold him. He's not only a scum, but also a beast. No. He's worse than a beast. Because a beast more or less has a conscience." The young man's face was extremely ferocious and his eyes were full of resentment. "You're worse than a beast." Zhuo Xiaocheng roared. "You're courting death." The young man slapped Zhuo Xiaocheng and sent him flying on the spot, smashing into a rock and blood immediately gushed out. I didn't expect that one day, I can slap Zhuo Tiansheng's son. This feels so good. The young man laughed and stepped forward, punching and kicking Zhuo Xiaocheng. His face was full of joy. Chapter 3097. That's enough. Don't really kill him. The middle-aged man glanced at Zhuo Xiaocheng and stepped forward to stop the young man. Even if you kill Zhuo Tiansheng, he won't know. We can still threaten him. The young man snorted. Do you think he's so stupid that he will give us what we want before seeing his son with his own eyes? The middle-aged man glared at him. All right. The young man nodded and kicked Zhuo Xiaocheng in the stomach, sneering, you should be glad that you're Zhuo Tiansheng's son, or you'd be a corpse now. Zhuo Xiaocheng lay on the ground, wailing. The middle-aged man glanced at Zhuo Xiaocheng and shook his head. Then he looked at the young man and said, let's find a place to hide first. We'll contact Zhuo Tiansheng in 2 days. Okay. The young man nodded and took off Zhuo Xiaocheng's interspatial ring. He found Zhuo Xiaocheng's voice transmission stone and crushed it. This was to prevent Zhuo Xiaocheng from sending a message to Zhuo Tiansheng when they were not paying attention. The city lord's mansion. Without any news, Qin Feiyang and the white-eyed wolf stayed in the city lord's mansion for the time being. The Tianyue Tower lord wanted to leave, but Zhuo Tiansheng did not allow it. He said that she could only leave after saving Zhuo Xiaocheng. Otherwise, she would be buried with Zhuo Xiaocheng. Therefore, she could only stay in the city lord's mansion for the time being. In a backyard. It was remote and quiet. This was where they lived. A few days later in the morning, Qin Feiyang got up early. After washing up, he walked out of the yard and breathed in the fresh air. Suddenly, he noticed that in the yard next door, the Tianyue Tower Lord was sitting at the stone table, looking into the distance with a worried face. What are you thinking about? Qin Feiyang walked over curiously. The Tianyue Tower Lord came to her senses and quickly turned to look at Qin Feiyang. She smiled, nothing. You obviously have something on your mind. Are you worried about Zhuo Xiaocheng? Qin Feiyang smiled. Zhuo Xiaocheng had an accident in the Tianyue Tower. I do have an unshirkable responsibility. The Tianyue Tower Lord sighed. Qin Feiyang said, then have you found a very serious problem in this matter? What is it? The Tianyue Tower's tower master was suspicious. In this world, no matter if it's a major force or a famous family, if they want to establish themselves in a place, they must have a powerful expert. As for your Tianyue Tower, although it has developed very quickly these years, its foundation is not stable at all. Because your Tianyue Tower doesn't have a single expert who can intimidate the world. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. His words woke her up from her dream. The tower master of Tianyue Tower stood up and looked at Qin Feiyang. That's right. If Tianyue Tower had an expert keeping watch, then no one would dare to mess around in Tianyue Tower. Then, what happened to Zhuo Xiaocheng would not have happened. The house master of Tianyue Tower pondered for a while before she mustered her courage and said, Qin Dage, are you willing to be the backer of Tianyue Tower? Me? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. I know this request is too abrupt and I can't give you anything in return. But I have no choice. I don't know any experts. The only ones I can think of are you, Big Brother Mo, and Big Brother Yun. The house master of Tianyue Tower lowered her head and seemed a little afraid, not daring to look straight into Qin Feiyang's eyes. Then you can look for Yun Xiang. He's more enthusiastic than I am. Qin Feiyang smiled. Big Brother Yun is indeed a warm-hearted person, but he's still a little lacking when it comes to intimidating the world. But you're different from Big Brother Mo, you have sovereign divine weapons. You can definitely protect our Tianyue Tower. The house master of Tianyue Tower said. I'm afraid we don't have the energy. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. You don't have to worry about that. Miao Miao and I will take care of everything in Tianyue Tower. You just have to stand behind us and support us. The housemaster of Tianyue Tower hurriedly said. Meow meow? Qin Feiyang was stunned. It's Meow from Purple Smoke Tower. I was the one who invited her to join Tianyue Tower. The housemaster of Tianyue Tower said. I see. Qin Feiyang smiled and shook his head. It's not that I don't want to help you. It's because we can't help you. Why? The housemaster of Tianyue Tower was suspicious. We have our own difficulties. Let's put it this way. If we really stand with Tianyue Tower, then I can tell you that what will bring you will definitely not be help, but disaster. Qin Feiyang said. Is it because of the blood hall? The housemaster of Tianyue Tower asked. How do you know about the blood hall? Qin Feiyang was stunned. At that time, only the two sovereign divine weapons, the dragon god sword and no one from the blood hall appeared. Logically speaking, this woman shouldn't have thought of the blood hall. When the two sovereign divine weapons came to Wine Sea City to kill you, the big shots of the blood hall also arrived at the demonic palace. So now everyone is guessing that the blood hall should be behind this. The housemaster of Tianyue Tower said. I see. In that case, I won't hide it from you. It's indeed because of the blood hall. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then can I ask, what kind of deep hatred do you have with the blood hall that made them go to such lengths? The housemaster of Tianyue Tower was suspicious. To be honest, I don't know what the blood hall is trying to do. In fact, I didn't even know the blood hall before, let alone hate them. However, I am familiar with the two sovereign divine weapons that appeared in Wind Sea City. And we are old rivals. Qin Feiyang said. Old rivals? The housemaster of Tianyue Tower was in disbelief. Old rivals with sovereign divine weapons? Who exactly are these people? So, we really can't help you. Just like back in Wind City, we didn't want to be with you and Yun Xiang. On one hand, we couldn't trust you. On the other hand, we didn't want to implicate you. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. I understand. The housemaster of Tianyue Tower nodded. Even so, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Don't think too much about it now because no matter what, it starts from step by step. It's definitely not that easy at the beginning. Qin Feiyang comforted. Thank you, Qin Dage. The housemaster of Tianyue Tower smiled and asked, then can I ask why you are in the City Lord Mansion? Doesn't the Vice Alliance leader want to reconcile with us? So we came to talk to Zhuo Tiansheng and the others. But we didn't expect to encounter this. Qin Feiyang shook his head. What about Zhuo Xiaoxian? The housemaster of Tianyue Tower asked. She's in my spatial divine item. We came to the City Lord Mansion to reconcile because of her. To tell you the truth. Actually, I don't want to reconcile at all, but there's no other way. Zhuo Xiaoxian and senior brother Feng Zi love each other. If we don't reconcile with the Vice Alliance leader, they can't be together openly. Qin Feiyang sighed. As for the real relationship between Zhuo Tiansheng and them, he didn't mention it at all. Because he still couldn't trust this woman. If the truth of this matter reached the Vice Alliance leader's ears, Zhuo Tiansheng and the City Lord would be the ones to suffer. That's true. The housemaster of Tianyue Tower nodded. By the way, how should I address you? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Yue Qing. Qin Dage, just call me Xiao Qing. The housemaster of Tianyue Tower smiled. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded with a smile. At this moment, Elder Yu suddenly descended from the sky and landed in front of Qin Feiyang. He said telepathically, Brother Qin, the two lords have invited you over. Any news? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Elder Yu nodded. What about her? Qin Feiyang glanced at Yue Qing. She doesn't need to go. With her present, it's inconvenient for us to talk. Elder Yu said to himself. Okay. Qin Feiyang responded, looked at the courtyard, and shouted, White-eyed wolf, senior brother, let's go. In the conference hall. When Qin Feiyang and the others entered the hall, Zhuo Tiansheng immediately closed the door and set up a soundproof barrier. Greetings, City Lord. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. We're all family, no need to be so polite. The City Lord waved his hand. Take a look at this. Zhuo Tiansheng walked in front of the two people and the wolf and took out a letter from his chest. Qin Feiyang took the letter and opened it. There were a few lines of small words. The content was roughly, within 3 days, prepare 5 peak-level heaven-defying divine artifacts, 2000 rank 5 divine rank soul lines and crystal veins, and go to Black Crow Mountain to exchange for Zhuo Xiaocheng. 5 peak-level heaven-defying divine artifacts. 2000 divine rank soul lines and crystal veins. He really dares to ask for it. Madman raised his eyebrows. This is a problem. 1 or 2 peak-level heaven-defying divine artifacts, we can still think of a way, but 5 at once, where are we going to find them? The City Lord rubbed his forehead, feeling a little troubled. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered, and he asked, who sent this letter? And where is this Black Crow Mountain? According to the city guards, this letter was sent by a child. We have investigated this child. He is just a child from an ordinary family in Wind Sea City. And according to the child, it was a middle-aged man who gave him some soul stones and asked him to pass it to the city guards. As for Black Crow Mountain, it is not in Wind Sea City, but in the north of Cloud Sea City. It is about half a day's journey from our Wind Sea City. Of course, this journey refers to the opening of the teleportation altar. Zhuo Tiansheng said. So far? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Even the opening of the teleportation altar took half a day. He then asked, then could they be from Cloud Sea City? We also thought so, but before we figure it out, we can't be sure. Zhuo Tiansheng shook his head. Qin Feiyang pondered for a moment and said, then let's do as they say and give them these things. How? He only gave us 3 days. Besides, he dares to blackmail us. Not to mention 5 peak-level heaven-defying divine artifacts, even if it is a low-level heaven-defying divine artifact, I will not give it to him. Zhuo Tiansheng snorted coldly. But now we have no other choice, right? Unless you don't care about Zhuo Xiaocheng's life. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Then do you have any way to get so many peak-level heaven-defying divine artifacts in a short time? The City Lord asked. That's simple. With a thought in Qin Feiyang's mind, the golden scale sword, sunset divine bow, sky-breaking halberd, earth shield, and axe appeared. This. The City Lord and the others were dumbfounded. It was really 5 peak-level heaven-defying divine artifacts. How many treasures were these little fellows hiding? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, you should have spirit veins and crystal veins, right? If you don't, I can give them to you. We have them all. The 3 of them came back to their senses and hurriedly nodded. Even they couldn't take out 5 peak-level heaven-defying divine artifacts, but this kid didn't even bat an eyelid. It was unimaginable. All right then, get ready. We will set off for Black Crow Mountain now. Qin Feiyang smiled. But Zhuo Tiansheng looked at the sunset divine bow and the other divine artifacts with reluctance in his eyes. Don't worry. They are all my companions. Not to mention this person, even if the Demon Hall and your Rogue Cultivator Alliance tempted them, they would not leave me. Qin Feiyang smiled confidently. Chapter 3098. So confident? The 3 of them were stunned. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and did not explain. The city lord looked at Zhuo Tiansheng and said, "In that case, quickly go and prepare the crystal vein and soul vein." "Okay." Zhuo Tiansheng nodded and immediately turned to leave. In less than 100 breaths, he returned to the main hall. "Let's go." The city lord got up. "You're going too?" Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. "Openly abducting my city lord mansion's people is a blatant provocation to the dignity of my city lord mansion. As the city lord, of course I have to go and see who this arrogant person is." The city lord snorted and opened a teleportation altar. "The teleportation altar is too slow. Do you have the coordinates of Black Crow Mountain? Let's teleport there directly." Qin Feiyang took out the spacetime gate. "What is this?" The three of them looked at the spacetime gate in confusion. "A divine artifact for spacetime teleportation." Qin Feiyang smiled. "You even have such a divine artifact?" The city lord was stunned. This kid really made people afraid to get along with him. Because the longer they got along, the scarier he felt. After Zhuo Tiansheng gave him the coordinates, Qin Feiyang opened the spacetime gate in the main hall. Immediately, a group of people entered in a line. Black Crow Mountain. The mountain was like its name, like a giant crow, standing among the vast mountains. At the highest peak, a middle-aged man was sitting cross-legged. This person was in his 40s, dressed in black, and had a strong body. Clang! Suddenly, there was a loud noise in the sky ahead. The middle-aged man in black immediately opened his eyes and looked up in surprise. He saw a stone door emerging from the void and slowly opening. "This is a divine artifact for spacetime teleportation." The middle-aged man in black was shocked and stared at the spacetime gate. Who could it be? Soon, the spacetime gate opened, and 5 people and a dog walked out. So fast? The middle-aged man in black looked at Qin Feiyang and the others in shock. He thought that he would have to wait for a few days, but he did not expect it to come so quickly. Qin Feiyang kept the spacetime gate, and then the group looked around. Very soon, they saw the black-robed middle-aged man on the mountain peak ahead. Zhuo Tiansheng took a step forward and landed on the mountain peak. He gloomily said, "It's you?" The middle-aged man in black hurriedly took a few steps back and nodded. "Yes, it's me." The mayor, Elder Yu, Qin Feiyang, the madman, and the white-eyed wolf also landed beside Zhuo Tiansheng. The city lord sized up the black-clothed middle-aged man and sneered, "A mere half-step sovereign actually dares to provoke our city lord mansion." There was a trace of fear in the eyes of the middle-aged man in black. He did not expect the city lord to come personally. But when he thought that Zhuo Xiaocheng was in their hands, he regained some confidence. He looked at Qin Feiyang's group and asked, "Have you brought the things we want?" Zhuo Tiansheng waved his hand, and 2,000 spirit veins and crystal veins appeared. Qin Feiyang also waved his hand. The sunset divine bow, the shield of thick earth, the 7 stars staff, the sky-breaking halberd, and the white jade sword appeared. He was going to take out the golden scale sword, but Qin Feiyang suddenly remembered that the golden scale sword had appeared before. Once he took out the golden scale sword, the other party would immediately see through his identity. Zhuo Tiansheng said in a low voice, "Everything you want is here. Where's my son? Give it to me first. After I leave, I'll immediately release your son." The black-clothed middle-aged man said. "My son isn't here? Are you fucking playing with me?" Zhuo Tiansheng was instantly filled with hostility, and a terrifying divine might surged toward the black-clothed middle-aged man. "I'm not playing with you. I'm doing this for our safety. Because you're too strong. If I brought your son here and you wanted to rob him, we wouldn't have the ability to stop you. So, we can only put your son somewhere else. Once we get what we want, I promise to release him immediately." The black-clothed middle-aged man had a panicked expression. What a joke. Zhuo Tiansheng and Elder Yu were both late-stage sovereigns. The city lord was even a perfected sovereign. How could he not be nervous? Elder Yu frowned and said, "So even if we give it to you now, we won't be able to see Zhuo Xiaocheng?" The black-clothed middle-aged man shook his head and said, "Before you give it to me, I won't let you see him." "Then how can we trust you? Will you really release Zhuo Xiaocheng? What if we give it to you and ask you to leave, but you don't let him go?" Elder Yu asked. "I'm a man of my word." The black-clothed middle-aged man said. "Don't say such nonsense. You can't trust us, and we can't trust you either." Elder Yu shook his head. For a moment, the two sides were in a deadlock. "Old Qin, since Zhuo Xiaocheng isn't here, I have an idea." Madman suddenly transmitted his voice. "What idea?" Qin Feiyang was startled and secretly asked. "Control him and read his memories." Madman secretly said. Qin Feiyang's heart stirred, and he discreetly raised his head to look at the void. If this person's accomplice really wasn't here, then Madman's suggestion was feasible. But he was afraid that this person's accomplice was hiding nearby. When he saw them make a move, he would definitely be driven to desperation and kill Zhuo Xiaocheng. Moreover, he was also somewhat hesitant. After all, this person was a half-step dominator. If he fought with his life on the line and suddenly resisted when he used the puppet technique to control him, then he would be in danger. Just like last time, when he used the slave seal to control Zhuo Tiansheng suddenly resisted and caused him a backlash. Now that he thought about it, he was still afraid. "How about this, I'll let you see him first." The black-clothed middle-aged man finally spoke, breaking the silence. "How?" Zhuo Tiansheng frowned. The black-clothed middle-aged man said, "Through the sound transmission god stone." This, Zhuo Tiansheng was somewhat hesitant. At this time, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and suddenly thought of a better idea. He shook his head and said, "No." Not only the black-clothed middle-aged man, Zhuo Tiansheng and Madman also looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. The sound transmission god stone can also be faked. Because we don't know if the Zhuo Xiaocheng we saw was impersonated by someone else. Qin Feiyang said. "Is it necessary for us to find someone to impersonate him?" The black-clothed middle-aged man said angrily. "We can't rule out this possibility, right? Because we don't know if Zhuo Xiaocheng is still alive?" Qin Feiyang said lightly. The black-clothed middle-aged man shouted, "Then you can confirm it through the sound transmission god stone." But just as he finished speaking, he remembered that Zhuo Xiaocheng's sound transmission god stone had been crushed. Since the sound transmission god stone was crushed, it seemed that there was no way to confirm it. "I have a proposal that will benefit both of us," Qin Feiyang said. "What proposal?" The black-clothed middle-aged man was suspicious. "Take me to see Zhuo Xiaocheng. I'm only at the small success imperishable realm. It's easy for you to kill me, so you don't have to worry at all. After I see Zhuo Xiaocheng, what will I do to you?" Qin Feiyang said lightly. Zhuo Tiansheng, Elder Yu, and the city lord looked at each other. This proposal was good. And this was obviously a trap set by Qin Feiyang. Yes. His cultivation was indeed only at the small success imperishable realm, but his true strength was far more than that. If this person really took Qin Feiyang to see Zhuo Xiaocheng, it was tantamount to bringing a wolf. At that time, it would be easy to save Zhuo Xiaocheng. This. However, the black-clothed middle-aged man was not stupid and was very hesitant. Although Qin Feiyang was only at the small success imperishable realm, it did not rule out other means. For example, there was a hidden space divine object, and there were some people who were stronger than him hidden in the space divine object. After all, the previous 5 peak-level heaven-defying artifacts were taken out by this person. This is the only way now, otherwise we can't trust each other, and the deal can't be completed at all. Qin Feiyang said. The black-clothed middle-aged man was silent, and his eyes suddenly glanced at the madman and the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf transformed into a big gray dog. The madman was the same as Qin Feiyang, a middle-aged man. They both looked very ordinary. Finally, the black-clothed middle-aged man pointed at the white-eyed wolf and said in a deep voice, "Let it confirm." It? Qin Feiyang frowned. Yes. It's it, you go, I'm not at ease. The black-clothed youth nodded. The white-eyed wolf looked dazed and said, "Does he think I'm easy to bully?" That's what I mean. Qin Feiyang and the madman laughed secretly. Damn, you're looking for death. The white-eyed wolf suddenly burned with anger. Can you really do it? Maybe his accomplice is stronger than him. The madman said. You're doubting my ability. The white-eyed wolf fiercely stared at the madman, looked at the black-clothed middle-aged man and nodded, "Okay, I'll go take a look." Good. The black-clothed middle-aged man opened an altar and looked at Qin Feiyang and the others, "Then wait for me here." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Let's go." The black-clothed middle-aged man looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, "After you go, don't hurt me." The white-eyed wolf looked at him with a timid look. "I don't need to compete with a beast." The black-clothed middle-aged man snorted and stepped onto the altar. "Beast," the white-eyed wolf muttered, a cold light flashing in the depths of his eyes, and then stepped onto the altar. Just these words alone had announced the death of the black-clothed middle-aged man. After watching the man and wolf leave, Zhuo Tiansheng immediately looked at Qin Feiyang and was about to speak. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and said, "First use your divine sense to see if there are any spatial divine items hidden nearby." Zhuo Tiansheng was taken aback. He quickly nodded and released his divine sense in all directions. A moment later, Zhuo Tiansheng shook his head and said, "Except for some fierce beasts, I didn't find any suspicious people." "That's good." Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, "Then ask." Zhuo Tiansheng frowned and said, "I just want to ask, can it really do it?" Because he hadn't seen the white-eyed wolf in action, he didn't know the white-eyed wolf's strength. This, Qin Feiyang and Madman looked at each other and shook their heads with a wry smile. "To be honest, we don't know either." "You don't know? Isn't it your companion?" Zhuo Tiansheng and the others were stunned. This answer was simply too unexpected. "Yes. We are companions. But this guy likes to act mysterious in front of us, so we don't know how strong it is now." Qin Feiyang looked helpless. Zhuo Tiansheng and the others looked at each other. If they didn't even know each other's strength, could they still be considered companions? "You don't have to doubt my relationship with the white-eyed wolf. Because we already knew each other when I was 15 years old. Until today, we have never been separated after countless trials and hardships. It can be said that we are like blood brothers. As for its ability, you don't have to doubt it either. Since it dares to go alone, it must be very confident." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Madman also looked at the three and said, "You don't know this wolf cub. If it's serious, even old Qin and I will be beaten up. It's that powerful?" The three were shocked. "Who knows?" Madman shrugged. He also wanted to know the white-eyed wolf's current strength, but there was no chance. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.